Today's episode of DawgNation Daily is brought to you by Pella Window and Door of Georgia, viewed to be the best.
Presented by DawgNation.com. This is DawgNation Daily, the daily podcast for Georgia Bulldogs fans. Here's your host, Brandon Adams.
Good morning, Dog Nation. I'm Brandon Adams. Welcome into a very special edition of DawgNation Daily, the daily podcast for Georgia Bulldogs fans, presented by Pella Window and Door of Georgia. This one, unlike almost any we've done in recent memory, obviously with the special occasion of the Sugar Bowl being on hand, we are live in New Orleans, what's known as Media Day. We are here in the Media Headquarters Hotel, kind of in between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, which just had their turn with the media. I'm talking about throngs of reporters, TV, broadcast, everything else. And over the course of the next few minutes, we're going to see the transition take place, and then it'll be the Georgia Bulldogs' turn, which obviously what we all care about. We'll get a chance to show that to you live here coming up in just a few minutes. Also, we'll get a chance to hear from the broadcasters who are calling the game, Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy. We're certainly looking forward to that. And who knows, whatever other fun and surprises might be in store as we're here in this ballroom in downtown New Orleans getting ready for all of this. In fact, we're a few minutes away before Georgia starts its media day. So we'll kind of show you some of what's currently going on as Notre Dame goes through things right now. You'll see Notre Dame coach Marcus Freeman right there speaking to reporters. He had a long turn at the podium a little earlier. So you'll get a chance later on to see Kirby Smart, kind of an extended press conference with him there in the middle of this ballroom. You see reporters still gathering. That's where Marcus Freeman has just finished up a couple of moments ago. And as Freeman talks to some of his local folks here in the background with him, you've got the beautiful Sugar Bowl trophy. You'll notice that it's resting on a base that's essentially a reasonable facsimile of the Superdome, where obviously the game has been played for a long time, even dating back when these two teams played on January 1st of 1981. But that's the prize that everybody's playing for. That's what's going to look good, if you're a Georgia fan, back there at the trophy room at Butts-Mehre Heritage Hall. And, of course, that's also, in many ways, a ticket punch to the semifinals of the college football playoff here, too. We're also going to wander our way this way a little bit to give you an idea of kind of how this room looks here this week and today. And we're going to obviously be moving around a lot today. We'll try not to move too much. You see Jack Kaiser over there. That's Mike Griffith, kind of getting close with him. And in a minute, this is the way the Georgia setup will be too. You'll have some of the main key players for Georgia, some of the usual suspects you might expect, at risers like this, up on platforms, getting a chance to talk to media, and we'll talk to some of those. But also, in addition to that, you'll have the entirety of the Georgia roster on the other side of this ballroom. Of course, here's the outstanding running back for Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love. He's in place here right now, talking to those reporters. Obviously, kind of a centerpiece part of this bowl game and this college football playoff, and you see that All-State Sugar Bowl logo affixed to the Notre Dame jersey. Georgia will have the same thing on its jerseys when it walks through here in just a little bit. You'll come down this way. You'll see Jordan Faison right over there. Notre Dame quarterback Riley Leonard's right over here. Of course, a lot of the, if you want to know kind of some of the inside baseball stuff here, this is also the podium that we expect Georgia quarterback Gunner Stockton to be setting up at a little bit later on. And you'll notice all the cameras already in place for Stockton. It's really amazing just how much Stockton, getting ready to make his first start, kind of already looking to be really kind of a household name here, right? I mean, Georgia fans have obviously been talking about him to the tunes of tens of thousands since it was announced that he was going to be the Georgia starting quarterback. And now there's a great deal of fascination as well about him making his first start. Obviously, such a big stage for that to take place. And today, in many ways, is sort of the national media's turn to get a chance to sort of share in the same fascination that Georgia fans have been kind of paying attention to over the course of the last few days. So in many ways, that's what today is going to be about. And if you're just joining us, this is a special edition of DawgNation Daily presented by Pella Window and Door of Georgia. We're kind of at the tail end of the Notre Dame media session here. And in the next few minutes, we're going to see a transition where the Georgia Bulldogs themselves will be here. We'll have a chance to talk to them. We're expecting that to take place over the course of the next half hour or so. But in between there, we're going to have some special interviews we're able to show for you there too. So we'll work our way close here. We might get a chance to hear from Riley Leonard just a little bit. Leonard obviously getting ready to face this Georgia defense. A lot of interest around that. you won't be able to hear this too well here right now. Why don't we pull back from that, and we'll also talk a little bit about some of the main storylines in addition to Gunner Stockton getting ready to make his first start. You know, when you see Leonard over there, you know, keep in mind the thing that Leonard does well is the thing that at times Georgia's had its issues with here this year. Leonard's a very accomplished running quarterback. This is a Notre Dame team that obviously has shaken off its loss to Northern Illinois, probably the most disappointing of any of the losses for any of the playoff teams. But since then, Notre Dame has played an excellent brand of football. They won easily against Indiana in front of a raucous crowd and kind of a hot ticket in the first round of the college football playoff. And so now they kind of punched their ticket to be here against Georgia. It'll be interesting to see how many of the people who are, representing both these teams, the former players, I should say the current players, the coaches, how many of them have anything in the way of a memory of, or have heard the stories or the conversation about the last time these two teams played in the Sugar Bowl. Obviously, Georgia's been to the Sugar Bowl a handful of times since that game in 1981, but this is the first one that's had any real stakes, and it's certainly interesting to know that's taking place against the opponent, which was the last time all of this went down. So there'll obviously be, some sort of historic chatter as it relates to that, and plenty of talk about, what it's actually going to take to win this game. I would say that having heard from Georgia fans over the course of the last few weeks, and we may wander over this way just a little bit, having heard from Georgia fans over the course of the last few weeks, one of the things you get the impression of is that Georgia fans are feeling very confident in their team coming off of what happened in the SEC championship. Texas, one of the top teams in the country, one of the top seeded teams on the other half of this college football playoff bracket, and Georgia has now beaten that team twice. So I think from that standpoint, Georgia fans feel like they've got a lot of confidence going into this game against Notre Dame. It'll be interesting as you listen to the Irish here today. It'll be interesting to find out how much of that confidence also exists for Notre Dame too. One of the things you often know is that these teams that get their chance to sort of have their shot at the SEC, sometimes that brings an extra level of motivation, because obviously the SEC as a league that gets a lot of attention, and certainly no shortage of fanfare, media presence, things like that. Games oftentimes just feel bigger when the SEC is involved, and so from that perspective, how much of that kind of serves as an extra level of motivation for Notre Dame coming into this one there on Wednesday. As you're tuning in and joining us, we hope you're having a very happy Christmas season, rolling into a new year wherever you are. We also want to say thanks to Pella Window and Door of Georgia for making this show possible here today. Of course, always our Monday sponsor, and normally that means being kind of in studio and doing things in a very normal way. Obviously nothing normal at all today about being here and being live at the Sugar Bowl Media Day, but certainly we expect it to be a really fun one throughout the day as Georgia players are going to roll through, Georgia coaches are going to roll through. In fact, I see a celebrity coming through right now. Kaylee Mansell, come on over here for a second. Yeah, how are you? So you're getting ready for, is this your first Sugar Bowl Media Day?
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to it?
I like how it's set up, that we actually can talk to anybody that we want to.
And that's really the kind of thing is like normally in a media situation like this, you're kind of at the mercy of whatever the powers that be feed you, which players they make available, which coach they make available. But this is a lot more of a casual conversation where everybody knows they're sort of fair game to be asked questions, and it ends up being more relaxed, right? It ends up being more of a football conversation. And if you really want to, and we're going to try to do this for ourselves today, if you really want to kind of roll through here and just try to have as many casual conversations you can go deep with a lot of these guys here today.
Well, I think one of the things that makes it so beneficial is that the players are a little bit more relaxed, because you can pull them for those one-on-one conversations, and it's not like you've got all these lights in front of you in front of 50 people and you're having to constantly monitor everything that you say, making sure you don't say the wrong thing. So it's a good opportunity to have them in a more vulnerable state and have those casual conversations and see a different side of them than we usually see at the podium.
Absolutely. So the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, they're leaving. That means Georgia's going to be on its way in a few minutes. Kaylee Mansell, we'll let you get ready for all that, but we appreciate your time here today.
Yeah, I'll be with Gunner the whole time, so send me your questions.
And as we let you see more of the sights and sounds of this, I'll once again say thanks to our friends at Pella Window and Door of Georgia for making this possible here today. Of course, it's time to make the big upgrade for you here this year. Better windows, better doors. It's time to find out all of what Pella Window and Door of Georgia can offer for you on that. We're about to have exceptionally cold weather. And the last thing you want when the weather is cold is to feel cold drafts on the inside of your house. But when you get the great upgrade from Pella, you're not going to have that issue. You're You're going to feel good and comfortable on the inside of your house. It's going to look awesome on the outside of your house. If you're a homeowner, you want to take the best possible care of your home, and that's what Pella Window and Door of Georgia gives you a chance to enjoy. So I want you to reach out to them today. PellaGA.com/DawgNation. That is the address, PellaGA.com/DawgNation. You can also give them a call, 678-638-1429. That's 678-638-1429. And don't forget, there's special savings here now, too, between now and the end of the year. If you act fast, you can get 10% off your Pella project, plus 3 weeks only for the end of the year. It's no payments, no interest until 2027. So that is what's coming up. So check out PellaGA.com/DawgNation for more on that. PellaGA.com/DawgNation. You can also give them a call, 678-638-1429. That's 678-638-1429. Pella Window and Door of Georgia is going beyond. So let me remind you who we are, what we're doing. Then we're going to try to get our first interview of the day here coming up. This is DawgNation Daily, presented by Pella Window and Door of Georgia. We're live here at Media Day in the Sugar Bowl Headquarters Hotel. Notre Dame has just finished. The Georgia Bulldogs are going to be coming in. We are also going to try to get our chance here to interview the broadcasters calling this game. Greg McElroy, Sean McDonough, they are on hand. In fact, we're going to kind of wander over here to see if we can get ready to maybe do that. You've got Greg McElroy right over here. Obviously we don't want to be rude here. We may jump in and do this here in just a moment. You saw Kaylee Manziel earlier. She said that she's going to be setting up right here. This is the podium that we expect Gunner Stockton to be on. Let's see. So this is the podium we expect Gunner Stockton to be on. We're live.
Yeah, I think we're actually
Okay. We are live, yes. So we've got Greg McElroy here, obviously getting ready to call this game. And I think for a lot of folks, the idea of the prestige of a big brand like Georgia, a big brand like Notre Dame, sort of feels like big-time college football, as it probably should for the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. How much are you looking forward to this one?
very much. What's funny is, like, early in my career, I believe it was, 17? I was year 2 at that point calling games. And I remember watching Georgia Notre Dame thinking, like, man, I would love someday to call a game like that. You know what I mean? And that was, I believe, it would have been on NBC, and Jake Fromm went up there, and, it was like, how can this guy in his first start go and win a game like that? Did, and we all know what became of the 2017 season for Georgia, going almost all the way. So, it was cool to kind of have this opportunity and to be part of the 12-team playoff. And to see the 4 games that we have now is pretty special, man.
And the symmetry of what happened in 2017 compared to what's happening now as Gunner Stockton gets ready to make his first start. Very different quarterback than Carson Beck, but a guy we did see in the second half of the SEC championship. What's your outlook for Gunner Stockton, both from the standpoint of, hey, it's a challenge to make your first start, but also this is a guy that, at least if you hear Georgia coaches and players talking about right now, they really seem to believe in?
Yeah, I think that, and I haven't had a chance to visit with them yet, but just watching them from a distance and just knowing Kirby's personality and knowing Bobo's personality, he'll be ready to roll. Like, that doesn't concern me at all. I do think the extra time helped. I don't think there was ever a chance of Carson being available, so there was really no uncertainty with how they approached the bowl practice. So I think that's encouraging. But I also think that there's beneficial to an extent for Georgia, because right now Notre Dame's kind of preparing for ghosts. They're chasing ghosts a bit because I don't know exactly what the offense is going to look like with 24 days to prepare. They know what it looks like with Carson Beck at the helm, but we only have, 30 snaps or so of Gunner Stockton as the guy with the game on the line. So you have an extent of what it could look like, but also I'm sure there's a few layers deeper into the playbook with what Bobo's probably going to be able to pull out.
So if you don't mind me follow up on that, because you're a quarterback, most of us sort of talk about this but don't really know, like, how much can an offense change with a different quarterback? How much can Georgia kind of go behind the scenes and say, hey, we're going to reinvent because this guy runs a little bit more, or because maybe he's a little bit more comfortable throwing a different, like, how much could Georgia change if it wanted to?
Well, it wouldn't change the plays, right? It would just change when those plays are called. So, I mean, they've had the plays in for all season long. I mean, you started their install in January of this year, and they're going to run what they've always run. It's just I might lean a little bit more towards calling a zone read 12 times a game as opposed to 4 times a game. I might lean towards running speed option against blitz. That might be my blitz check, my blitz beater, as opposed to checking to a tunnel screen like Carson did so many times this year. You know what I mean? I think things like that. It's not so much that the plays change. It's just the identity changes with how a coach wants to call the game. I also think it's a little bit beneficial because there have been times this year, and this is our 5th Georgia game, so we've done a lot of Georgia games. We've seen them at their best and we've seen them at their worst, I feel like. I feel like there were times where they just didn't, and partly because of injury and partly because of inconsistency along the offensive line, there wasn't this real commitment to the run game that we've seen traditionally from a Kirby Smart coach team. And it's partly because, Ratledge has been banged up. You've had other guys in and out of the lineup. Left tackle struggled at times. You've lost ETN for some times, things like that. So I think partly because of what they had available to him. But the commitment to the run game wasn't there the same way I feel like it's been there in the past. And I think with Stockton and putting a little bit less on his shoulders is going to allow them to be a little bit more balanced naturally. And I do think that can do them some good, even though Notre Dame's an excellent team against the run.
Greg, appreciate your time.
You got it.
Greg McElroy did a great job calling, as he said, a lot of Georgia games here this year. Really good stuff there from him, kind of giving the insight on what Georgia might look like. And as I said to Greg there a moment ago, when you think about, how offenses change, McElroy, I think, as a quarterback and someone who's been a part of a lot of these game planning sessions, obviously in the Nick Saban era of Alabama, able to kind of tell you some sort of tangible ways in which it could look different with Gunner Stockton. And if you're a Georgia fan, I think you also love the phrase that he uses there, which is you've now got Notre Dame to a degree, as he said, chasing ghosts, not really fully, completely knowing the version of Georgia that's going to show up there. We'll walk around this way. We'll see if we can catch up with Sean McDonough here a little bit too. Obviously the play-by-play voice and the guy that, as Greg said, has called a lot of these games here today. I don't see Sean right now. Why don't we park right here? We'll put a nice backdrop behind us, and we'll look around to see if we're able to catch up with him. I saw him in the building earlier. Don't see him right now, but we will be looking for him there on that. I think one of the things that we'll talk to Sean McDonough about, by the way, we're live here at Media Day, DawgNation Daily, presented by Pella Window and Door of Georgia. You've got the entirety of the Georgia team, including the Georgia coaches. They'll be coming in here in just a little bit, so you get a chance to hear from all of them here today. So it's kind of a wild day. We're just going to be kind of on the move. By the way, our guy Cody Chavin's doing a great job here today, shoulder mounted with the camera, following around. He's also got his head on the swivel looking for anything that might be going on here. So we certainly appreciate that, and we appreciate you just being a little bit more comfortable with a show that's just a little bit different than some of the ones that we always do. So I thought you got some good stuff there from Greg McElroy a moment ago, looking at, in addition to kind of how it's specifically going to look for Georgia with Gunner Stockton here today, the fact that Greg, as a very young broadcaster, looked in on that game from September in 2017. Mike Tirico was the play-by-play voice that day of Georgia in South Bend, Indiana. And I think for me, and listen, every Georgia fan has their own way of sort of thinking about what the last few years have been. I think for me, when I think about what has really been special about Georgia football, kind of during this era, obviously the championships and the big wins are a huge part of that. But for me, I will say that the number of games that Georgia has played, as Greg said, against the kind of teams and programs you sort of grew up watching on TV, and you sort of, at that time, kind of only imagined the chance to see Georgia playing against. All of a sudden now that's happening in real life. That you're seeing now. This will be Georgia's third game against Notre Dame. They've played Oklahoma in a Rose Bowl. They've played, and I do see Sean McDonough walking around here, so we may try to catch up with him in a second. You've seen Michigan. You've seen Ohio State. You've seen the biggest of the big, all of this going on. Let's see if Sean, you have a couple minutes for us here? Let's say hello to Sean McDonough here, a guy who's gotten very familiar. Well, we're live here on DawgNation. A guy who's gotten very familiar calling Georgia games over the course of this season. How much fun is it for you, Georgia, Notre Dame, two teams that going back decades ago played in the same spot in kind of a historic game, and now get ready to match up in sort of historic meeting again? When you expand the college football playoff, these are the kinds of games you want to have, right?
Exactly right. That's why I think it's a great idea. And I thought the first round games on campuses were a great idea too. We were obviously at Notre Dame last week for that, and the atmosphere was electric. But this is why we do this. This is probably why you do this for a living. It's certainly why I do this for a living, to have the opportunity to do games like this. So, so many great storylines. As we're sitting here at Media Day right now talking to players and coaches, you're sitting there thinking, wow, you wish the game was 8 quarters to get even a fraction of these stories in.
Had a chance to talk to Greg a little earlier, and he kind of talked about the Gunner Stockton side of this and how Georgia's going to be a different team than we've seen before. But for a lot of Georgia fans, this will be the most extended viewing they've done of Notre Dame all year, too. And obviously, you know, the record, you know, the prestige. But it's also a team that maybe Georgia fans feel like they've seen the playoff a couple times before, didn't go well. You know, BCS title game, you're going to go back to 2012. For Georgia fans who kind of only have that vision of Notre Dame in their mind, what don't they know about this version of Notre Dame here this week?
Yeah, I would get that version out of their heads. You know, I think we've done a lot of those Notre Dame playoff games the last few times they've been in the postseason, and I think this is a team that's better equipped to play an SEC team. You know, we just talked to the Notre Dame players, and they talk about the size and the physicality and the toughness. You know, and that's probably something that maybe they weren't as equipped to deal with in past Notre Dame team versions, but this one is a salty bunch, you know, and I think particularly on the defensive side, and that's not to undersell their offensive line, because we pitched last week's game against Indiana as, you know, Notre Dame's a top 10 in the country running team. Indiana's number 1 in the country stopping the run, and the game might come down to that, and it really did. Notre Dame, I don't remember what the final total was, but they ran for the most yards that Indiana had given up all year. So you don't do that unless you have a physical offensive line, and they have terrific running backs, you know, a great duo of running backs, and obviously a quarterback who can hurt you in the run game too.
Your dad was a legend in the sports media up in Boston, and you're kind of a Northeast guy, I guess, by the way that you grew up. How much fun has it been for you to be so ingrained now in kind of the SEC culture, with obviously this league being on ABC, ESPN every week, what I think was a very successful first year of that partnership? How much fun is it for you, given where you kind of came from, to now be as big a part of sort of SEC football as you've become?
Well, it's been a blast. You know, there's no question that, you know, the most passionate part of the country for college football is in the Southeast, and, you know, to do SEC football, I think, you know, maybe not every year you can make the argument it's the best conference, but most years it's the best college football conference. So, you know, to have an opportunity to do an SEC game almost every week has been a blast. The ratings have been huge. I think it just shows what the interest level is, not just in the Southeast, but around the country for Southeastern Conference football. And for me, it's really coming full circle, because when I was at CBS back in the 90s, I really started out doing the SEC football package with the late, great Terry Donahue, and so, you know, and with Todd Blackledge for a year. So, yeah, it's been a blast.
Well, you do a great job. We appreciate your time. Looking forward to hearing you on the call on Wednesday.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Wish we were starting right now.
Yeah, good stuff there from Sean McDonough live here on DawgNation Daily. We certainly appreciate his time, and great stuff from Greg McElroy, his broadcast partner, a little earlier. And I do think we all benefit from guys like this who, you know, have seen Georgia a few times, but also in the case of both Greg and Sean, guys who are sort of deeply kind of embedded in the world of college football, people who sort of live in that world every single day. You know, I'll be the first to tell you, you know, I don't know that I was as excited about the start of this new era for the SEC broadcast package. You know, being on ABC, being on ESPN exclusively. I liked the games on CBS. I thought CBS had been a good partner for the SEC for a long time. But as Sean said a moment ago, when you look at the success that this enjoyed this year, when you look at how many of the highest, including Georgia, who I guess was the highest rated of them all, when you look at how many of the highest rated teams in college football this year played in the SEC, broadcast on ABC, ESPN, I don't think you can come away thinking anything other than just a tremendous, tremendous success, you know, for this league being a part of that network. And I also say this, I think it's interesting to hear Sean McDonough. I'm glad we had a chance to ask him this question, because I do think stuff like this is important, because there are a lot of us, and people are busy, right? They have time to sort of watch their favorite team. They watch the teams that their favorite team plays most frequently. There are a lot of Georgia fans, if we're just being honest, who are going to be watching Notre Dame kind of in a full game anyway, for perhaps the first time all season long. And kind of the only thing they do know about Notre Dame is the stuff they've sort of seen, whether it be the recent past, the distant past, or whatever else. There is definitely a caricature that's been drawn and exists of what the Georgia SEC talent level is supposed to look like against a team like this, sort of on the outside of that. And no level of like high ranking or accolades or even impressive first round victory over Indiana. There's an extent to which nothing's going to really change that all that much. Sean McDonough does his part there to say, hey, I've seen them up close and personal, broadcast their games, seeing what they're all about, kind of giving the warning to expect this Notre Dame team to look a little bit different than that. Some Georgia fans will still be skeptical, but in many ways, that's sort of what Wednesday is all about. And it's certainly interesting to hear Sean talk about how excited he is to sort of get to that and be ready to go, for all of that. That's certainly going to be a great thing. We're about 15 minutes away here from the Georgia players arriving and being a part of Media Day. So in a moment, at these tables right here, you're going to have almost all of the Georgia assistant coaches sitting right there. The podiums we showed you a little early, we kind of walked through there. This area over here, that's going to be where many of the Georgia players are. As Kaylee Manziel said, she's going to be kind of embedded in the scrum with Gunner Stockton. So if you want to hear everything that Stockton says today and sort of, no interruptions, sort of exclusive on that, I think Kaylee's going to have full coverage of that. We're going to be kind of moving around and sort of grabbing what we can, a couple of minutes with a player here, a couple of minutes with a player there, and just sort of trying to get as much of that as we can over the course of those few minutes. And we certainly appreciate you allowing this to be just sort of a free-flowing, different kind of broadcast today, as we're just sort of grabbing and catching and sort of doing whatever we can. In fact, we'll walk around here and see.
Interested to see which players are at the podium.
Yeah. So that's a great idea. Cody Chafin's had the idea of what if we sort of check out which player is going to be in which places. So, in fact, right now they still have the names turned. So Smile Mondon, the Georgia linebacker, he's going to be right here. This will be his podium. And so in a minute, that's where he'll be sitting and that's where he'll be talking. Over here, you're going to have tight end Oscar Delp. I think Delp, you would say, has been one of the most important Georgia players kind of down the stretch here think about the two big catches he had in the overtime of the SEC championship against Texas. I think Oscar, perhaps maybe healthier than he's been all year long, is probably playing his best football of the season here in this sort of stretch run here. And so from that standpoint, getting a chance to see him highlighted today is certainly an interesting thing. Over here, you've got Mikael Williams. Mikael is one of the kinds of players that just makes it very different, for Georgia. The ability to kind of come off the edge. He was huge in Georgia's first win against Texas. And if Georgia's going to go on to win a national championship, you might believe that Mikael Williams is going to be a big reason why. You've got Tate Ratledge right over here. We've also got another special guest that's going to join us here for a minute. It's our good friend Connor Riley. So, Connor, a lot of folks here have not had the experience of maybe being a part of a media day before and seeing this. In just a moment, it's going to be chaos in here with all the Georgia players, these podiums, the rest of the team over there, assistant coaches, Kirby Smart in the middle. What's it like kind of going through all of this as a reporter? A lot of people may be seeing this on video for the first time.
It's kind of like trying to drink out of a fire hose. You get an hour with guys you're not going to get. It's our chance to hear from KJ Bolden for the first time, Nate Frazier, guys like Drew Miller are on the list to talk to, given their outsized role for this Sugar Bowl game. Obviously, Gunner Stockton, there's already a crowd forming around him. And then it's also a chance, I think, to talk to some assistants. We heard from Mike Bobo, we heard from Glenn Schumann earlier this week, but guys like James Coley, Todd Hartley, the other assistants on this staff, a chance to talk to them. There are also some interesting nameplates out there. We'll see if some of these guys actually are here and available to talk to today, but it's setting up to be a very interesting day in terms of who is available.
And I think one of the things that is good about these Georgia assistant coaches is they're all pretty interesting guys, right? They're not meatheads. Like, we don't get a chance to talk to them very much. But if you get a chance 3, 4, 5 minutes to spend time with Todd Hartley, for instance, it's always an interesting conversation. I would say that Trey Scott's the same way. Like, just some of the relaxed chatter in a situation like this, whether it's about the game or just about the sport overall, the team for next year, these guys are pretty good at talking about their specific job.
It's not a surprise that you see so many guys from this staff go on to be head coaches. You think Del McGee, Dan Lanning, over the years that have filled that, and you get a chance to talk to guys like Chidera Uzodiribe before the TCU National Championship, a team he had some experience with. Todd Hartley is one of my favorite interviews because he's very, informative and conversational in a way that, sometimes talking to guys up at a podium, they can be a little bit more stiff. So it's a great chance to learn stuff, not just about guys on this team, but also some of the guys they just signed in the most recent signing class there as well. So it's a very exciting day. We're going to try and bring you the best coverage that we can today, but we know that even though we have a swath of reporters here, we're not going to be able to get everything we want.
I'll ask you one more, then I'll let you get in position here. I had a chance to hear from both Greg McElroy and Sean McDonough a little earlier. It was interesting how much both those guys, in their own way, kind of echoed the fact that when you've got Georgia against Notre Dame, this is sort of what you want an expanded playoff to be. And I'll be honest with you. I think it's been kind of a weird month for the sport. I think the transfer portal and some of the stuff there has sort of overshadowed the games on the field. I think the first round games were just not very good, and so therefore they didn't give us much to talk about. We ended up talking about who did or didn't make the playoff and kind of, what's next and sort of the craziness of the sport. I think it's good to have games like this, but I think the sport itself also needs some of these games, Georgia, Notre Dame, or Ohio State, Oregon. They need big games, right?
Absolutely. The last time these two teams met here in New Orleans, a national championship was decided. This is the type of thing that we thought potentially you could get in the first round, and unfortunately games weren't all that competitive for a variety of reasons. And so now I think to get these games in the quarterfinals, you get these elite teams. Other than maybe, Texas, Arizona State, I think there's legit intrigue in all of these college football playoff games. Boise State, Penn State, the Cinderella versus, I think, the established power. And then these two of the more iconic programs in college football history. It's super exciting, and I'm excited that I get to at least be a part of it and discuss it and break it down in the coming days.
Well, your coverage is great. We certainly appreciate that. Can't wait to read everything from you at DawgNation.com. We'll try to catch up with you on the show here this week, too, as your time allows. But get in there and get ready to throw some elbows, and we'll have some fun.
Yeah, I just want to say, your interview with Sean McDonough, I'm proud of you as a friend, colleague, thrilled I get to work with you. Have never been more proud to see you interviewing the great Sean McDonough today on DawgNation Daily.
So Connor's a long-time sort of Boston sports fan, kind of taken back to the great days. For those of you who don't know, like Sean McDonough's father, Will McDonough, was essentially the first, I guess, probably I don't want to say first famous sports writer, but he was the first sports writer to kind of become what sort of Adam Schefter has become. And so, this is a guy that kind of goes back in that lore for a long time. But I thought Sean did a great job.
Not to mention, so many iconic calls over the years, the famous Sid Bream slide on the last play of the game.
Yeah, Sean's definitely good at doing all that. Good stuff there from Connor Riley. Obviously, we'll read a lot from him there at DawgNation.com. And when you're here at an event like this, some of the broadcasters and the media types that you see sort of around the room, that sort of ends up being some of the most fun stuff. By the way, speaking of fun, to give you an idea about how crazy it's about to be, so this is the sort of backside of the media scrum getting ready for Gunner Stockton, and it's just amazing how much attention he's getting. And I'm not saying this in a negative way, but to compare to what was going on with Riley Leonard a little earlier, an accomplished quarterback for Notre Dame. Think about the Notre Dame quarterback, how, I guess theoretically famous that person should be. When Riley Leonard was here speaking to the media, at least in the time that we were here, and I was here for essentially the back half of all of that, there was nowhere near the same level of attention. In fact, most of the space around Riley Leonard and his press conference were these cameras that people were already kind of putting in to get ready for Gunner Stockton. So Stockton's clearly getting a lot of attention. Georgia coming through right here. We'll get a chance to see Georgia coach Kirby Smart making his way up there. Georgia following in and getting ready to go. So we'll get a chance to walk Georgia coming into the room here right now. There you see Kirby Smart, flanked by media staff. He'll head up towards the podium. So if you want to hear the entirety of Kirby Smart, you'll get your chance to do that on the DawgNation, video channels. We'll have the entirety of all of that. But we won't have as much of that for you here, but you will see where he's about to go. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to make our way over here in just a minute to where Georgia's located. Of course, you're going to see Tate. Yeah, why don't we do this? We'll see Tate Ratledge walking in here right now. There's linebacker Jalon Walker coming in right now, too. Georgia not wearing its jerseys in here today. Players will be identified, many of them, by what they're wearing around their neck. So we're going to move over here off to this side, and we'll get ready to speak to some players. Of course, we'll also say this is now Around the Doghouse, presented today by our friends at Dr. Pepper. And by the way, we appreciate Dr. Pepper also being part of our DawgNation invasion. They're going to be with us for that. So Dr. Pepper, a big part of everything that goes down with college football, including Around the Doghouse here today, and obviously our DawgNation invasion here coming up. So all of these tables over here are going to be filled with Georgia players, everybody getting ready for all of that. Georgia coach is going to be hanging by over here too. And I think we're okay. Are we okay to start? Are we okay to start? Okay. Yeah, totally understand. Totally understand. So, yeah, you know how that goes. So we're going to get ready to get going here in a minute. We'll just show you sort of the sights and sounds of all of this and see how this takes place. By the way, shout out to Dr. Pepper for being in the room here right now. There you go. Cody's going to do a little product placement on the air. You certainly love all of that. So there you go. So you know it's a Sugar Bowl when you got Dr. Pepper here right now. In fact, yesterday, that's the first thing I did when I got here. I made my way down here to where we were, get this going, get a chance to be a part of all of that, and enjoy that here today. A little ice cold Dr. Pepper. For around the doghouse, you know that's really, really good. So that's awesome stuff. I may set this here for right now, and we'll get ready to get this started here right now. In fact, why don't we see if we can go ahead and speak to Dylan. Do you have a couple minutes for us? We're live on DawgNation here right now, so you are live on video. Got wide receiver Dylan Bell here, obviously getting ready for a big one here in the Sugar Bowl. I guess over the course of the last few weeks, how much have you guys enjoyed having that rest and maybe getting a chance to recuperate, and what have practices been like the last few weeks?
It's been great, having a chance to recover our bodies and focus on our opponent has been great. We finally found out who we was playing, and that did great for us, as we can finally focus on one team, But the practices have been great, a lot of energy, a lot of physicality to get ready for our opponent.
It's a little bit of a different situation for college football because for the most part, you kind of always know who you are playing. Your regular season schedule set. Even the SEC championship many years is sort of set several weeks in advance. What was it like kind of going into a first round of the playoff, maybe watching a game between Notre Dame and Indiana, and kind of almost like in the same way it would be in the NFL, not really knowing which of those teams you're going to play until the game came to an end?
So basically, you got so first off, we was really just focusing on ourselves for a little bit, and then, as it got closer to their game, we started to focus on both teams, took time for one team and another day for one team, so you really never know who you're going to play, but at the end of the day, we ended up finding who we were playing, and we went from there.
What has the transition to Gunner Stockton at quarterback been like? And I guess how much confidence have you gained in him, sort of watching him now work as the starter in anticipation of this game?
The transition has been great. Gunner is Gunner. We always got confidence in our quarterback, as you've seen from the Texas game. Everybody, even our fans, have confidence in him. And, it doesn't stop there. It's going to keep going to have confidence in him, and we trust in Gunner.
Listen, I appreciate your time, Dylan. Best of luck with the Sugar Bowl, and Happy New Year to you. Great stuff there. Georgia wide receiver Dylan Bell will also kind of walk through here. We may kind of bounce back and forth from the various tables so we don't get too many of the same guys here necessarily. Let's see if we can pop over. Maybe we got some more wide receivers over here. Aaron, you got a couple minutes for us, do you mind? Georgia wide receiver Arian Smith, obviously one of the great leaders and spokesmen for this team. We just had a chance to talk to Dylan a moment ago about that transition to Gunner Stockton. I mean, obviously, you go over there and you see there's like cameras everywhere. There's so much, how the quarterback always gets a lot of attention, right? But in this particular case, Gunner's getting a lot of attention. So you're seeing him in his private moments. You're seeing him when others are not. What have you noticed about him as he gets ready to make sort of a pretty big first start here?
I noticed that he's just calm and collective, and he's like a business guy. He's going to make sure he does as he normally does, as he's take notes in meetings, make sure he's like being a vocal leader out there on the field. So just seeing him be himself and seize a moment. So
it seems like it's one of those things where to be good in this moment, if you get called upon, you have to sort of been preparing for years for this. It's not really a test you can cram for, right? You have to be doing that over the course of years, and I'm guessing you might say you've seen some of that from him throughout that time too.
Yes, just like even though people behind closed doors, you don't see all the work he put in, but like people like me and like other people on the team, they see how he puts work on the scout team and like running with the 2s and the 3s. So just I know he's ready because all the work he's did before his shining moment, like now as he's as a starting quarterback. So
we're here with Arian Smith. Obviously, you've seen your team go through a lot this year. I mean, I've been around Georgia football for a long time. You yourself been around Georgia football for a few years now. Never seen a team play a schedule like this. Tough road games, challenging, really 1 through 12. What have you learned about your team because of that grind? And now that you've had a little bit of rest, is there something about the really difficult journey you've been on that makes maybe what's about to happen maybe just a little bit easier?
Yes and no, because we got to go out there and play the game. But Coach always tells us that we're ready for this moment, so go out there and play confident. And because we're battle tested, we've played these good teams, these SEC teams, these the best of the best. So I feel like we're more battle tested than we would be if we didn't have a tough schedule.
Tell me about Notre Dame here for a minute, because for a lot of our audience, they're obviously loving Georgia football. They're watching the SEC teams. Those are the teams that Georgia plays most frequently. Maybe they don't know as much about Notre Dame. You've been investing a lot of time getting ready for the Irish. What can you tell our audience about what they're going to see from Notre Dame?
They're a complimentary defense. They do a good job at disguising things with the pressures, and the line of scrimmage is one of the strengths of their defense. They play a lot of man, and so we got to go out there and earn it. They're not just going to lay down and give it to us. So
I appreciate your time with Dog Nation. Thanks so much. Enjoy the game, okay? Good stuff there. Go Dogs indeed. Georgia wide receiver Arian Smith. We'll see if we can walk over here and try to get – it's amazing how large these position groups are, sort of taking up sort of multiple tables here. We'll see if we can kind of move over this way, get a chance to talk to a few more guys over here. Let's see if Warren, you got a couple minutes for us here? We're live with Dog Nation right over here. Warren Brinson steps in. First of all, can we say this? And no, listen, it's a very serious week. We got a lot going on. But for a lot of our audience, they also know you as a bowler because we've seen you at the Mark Richt event the last couple of years, bringing home that championship belt. So if you don't mind, before we get into the more serious topic of football, take a second to brag on yourself for being really a pretty good bowler.
I mean, it really wasn't me. It was just my team I had with me. I'm not the best bowler, but I was with some good players, and they just helped me get through it. Honestly, we went back to back. Really my team, man.
Well, listen, I love that. Obviously, always supporting the team. No different when it comes to these Georgia Bulldogs here, too. You know, you came back to Georgia. You provided that veteran presence, the defensive line, and in a lot of ways, games like this is why you want to come back and be a part of this here at Georgia. How big is this Sugar Bowl for you?
It's very big, man. I just want to go out here and perform, do the best I can to help the team win. Honestly, just do my 111, help my guys, just help make plays and help other people make plays. That's the goal, man. That's what I came back to do, just do my job and be successful, honestly.
What have you seen from your defense as it's kind of grown around you this year? Because not everybody's got the same level of experience that you do. You've been through battles. You kind of know what the standard is. What have you seen from the guys around you as they've tried to kind of fit their role now in kind of this stretch run of the season?
Man, it just at different times of the year, you just seen different people just shine a little bit more. Like at the beginning of the season, seeing Tarion balling, killing the game. You got guys like our young guys over here getting better in practice every day. Where's Namdi at? Namdi getting in games and stuff. You're seeing stuff like that. It's just people doing their job at the right time and just coming up when we really need them. And just working while they wait. Honestly, Kirby preaches that all the time. Just working while you wait. If you're not playing, just keep working until it's your time to come. And you see it just shows, honestly.
So that idea, we've heard Kirby Smart say that before, work while you wait, be patient for your moment to come. And for so many players, that does happen. We also know it's not easy, right? Because I mean, I've got a chance to see short glimpses of practice. It's really, really hard. And the physicality that requires, you know, I'm sure it's important to have kind of player-led messages there of, hey, you got to be patient. Think about this guy whose moment came whenever it did, because honestly, when you're getting beaten on every single day, you kind of wonder when that moment's going to come, right?
Yeah. They have to know it's just a cycle of Georgia, man. Every freshman, every guy goes through it. You got talented guys like Michael Williams who just comes in and starts, you know.
Yeah.
But most guys, you just got to practice. Like myself, I had to be on scout team. I had to practice. I had to go against the Ben Cleavens, the Trey Hills, guys like that, Jamari Sawyer. Like, I just got to tell them, like, yo, I know it's hard right now, but it'll get greater later. Just keep working. That's the whole thing.
So we'll finish with this, Warren. We always appreciate your time. You guys had a great performance in the SEC championship against Texas. I know every game's a new story and all that, but how much does it help the confidence of your unit knowing that in kind of a must-win game, because you don't get the bye, you don't get all of that if you don't win that game, that you all stepped up to win that and also beat Texas twice here this year? How much confidence do you feed off of because of that?
Man, it's actually a lot of confidence, but every game, like you said, every game is a new game, so you just got to prepare the same way and just keep in mind it's a one-game season now, and we're just preparing for each game one step at a time. Hopefully we get blessed enough and fortunate enough to win this game and just work hard. That's honestly it, one-game season.
Warren Brinson, appreciate your time. Congratulations on a great career at Georgia, and hope you finish it off on a strong note.
Appreciate you. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs indeed. Good stuff there from Warren Brinson. We'll see if we can maybe sneak over here. Cash, you got time for us? I know it's not the most fun thing in the world, but we're happy to have you. It's Georgia running back Cash Jones. We are live here on Dog Nation right now. Cash, has been a fun season. Obviously, the biggest moments to come. What has this journey this year been like for you?
Man, it's been a blast. Just getting to know these guys a little bit more and just playing with them. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see what we have in the future, and just ready to play this game and have fun.
Yeah, and obviously the big topic, and everybody's discussing it, is how different the offense is going to look now with Gunner Stockton at quarterback. Gunner's obviously got a lot of fan support right now, a lot of media attention. What does this unit now look like with Gunner at quarterback?
What do you mean?
Just how things are going to be different, how practice has been going. What's the vibe around your offense now that Gunner's the starting quarterback?
Everybody believes him. He's a great quarterback, great dude. Everybody trusts in him. We're excited to see how he does out on another game like he did the SEC championship game.
How important do you think your fellow running backs are and kind of giving support on that? I think a lot of people expect this to be a game in which they're trying to run the ball, y'all are trying to run the ball, also throwing the ball out of the backfield, something that you're very good at doing. How much do you think the running backs sort of take on a little bit of extra responsibility now, knowing that you've got a quarterback making his first start?
Everybody goes out there every game and just tries to give their best. And I think if we go out there and play our best, I think we have to put ourselves in the best possible situation to win. So,
Cash Jones, appreciate your time. Happy New Year. Best of luck on Wednesday.
Happy New Year.
Good stuff there from a Georgia running back, Cash Jones. We'll work our way around the room here a little bit. Maybe we'll sneak over here and see if we can say hello to some offensive linemen. I see Xavier Truss right over here. Yeah, Jared Wilson's right over here, too. Let's see if we can talk to some of these offensive linemen. Guys, you mind if we're live on DawgNation? Mind talking with us a couple of minutes? Ernest, let me start with you. I guess this is Ernest Green, by the way, right here. We'll see if we can get him on camera. I guess the most important question is, Ernest, right now, how are you feeling?
I'm doing good. Just getting ready to beat Notre Dame this week, so.
I like that. How's practice been for the offensive line here thus far?
It's been good. We take every day just with a blue-collar mentality to show up to work with your hard hat and try to just get better every day. So that's all we've been doing.
Well, the best news a lot of our audience is going to hear is the fact that it sounds like you're feeling a little bit better, so we're certainly happy about that. We wish you luck, all right?
Thank you.
Good stuff there. We also got Monroe Freeling hanging out right here, too. Monroe, we've seen a lot more of you as the season's progressed here. How's that been for you? And kind of, I guess, what kind of evaluation do you make of your season here thus far?
I think I've gotten a lot better, and, I think just day by day I'm getting better week by week, and, it's been awesome to play with this offensive line this year.
How much do you guys help, and how much of a challenge is it? Because, we'll see you rotating a lot, right? We've seen you right tackle a little bit, left tackle a little bit, kind of some of that's there during game. I'm presuming a lot of that's during practice. How much does a lot of that kind of cross-training stuff sort of help you to be ready for your moment whenever that kind of comes? Because it seems like, Kirby and Coach Searles do a really good job of kind of getting you guys as involved as possible in as many different scenarios as possible.
I think it's tough at first because, you're going from side to side, and you're not as flexible as some other sides, but I think in the long run it helps, and it gives you more confidence when you're going in the game and you don't know which tackle you're going in at. But as soon as you work both sides like all the time, you get really confident, and I think it just builds my confidence.
Well, we wish you the best of luck this week. Good stuff there. We'll wander over here so we can talk to Jared Wilson here for a minute, too. Jared has kind of made a very tough job look pretty easy here this year. It seems like Cedric Von Prawn-Granger played a million games for Georgia, right? Long time starting center, and you've stepped in, and for the most part, the best we can tell, the position hasn't skipped a beat. How would you kind of make your evaluation of very important role? It's a leadership role. It's obviously a player performance role. How has all that gone for you just this year, now being in the position where you get a chance to do what SVP did, which is bring home a championship here to Georgia, perhaps?
I think I've done pretty well because of Cedric Van Pran. I had such a good leader in him, and just a good plan and foundation laid out perfectly for me, and all I had to do was just watch and try and copy it my bet, and while being me, not really copy it and trying to be him in a way, but do it my way, So, and I try to do that best as I can, and I think it's gone pretty well.
There's a lot of talk about Gunner Stockton here today. I know you know that. You probably have the most intimate relationship with him of all because you're the one that's snapping the ball. It's maybe a dumb question, but is there a difference in snapping with a different quarterback, and as someone who sort of sees the view of him between your legs sometimes, how different is it having a different quarterback out there for you?
It's not very much different. The only thing that might be different a little bit is the under center snap, just moving his hands a little bit, but we've had so many reps during this off time and this off break that I'm not worried about it at all.
So obviously I'm not going to ask you to give the game plan away, but I am curious how you think that practice has gone these last couple of weeks as you're sort of installing a game plan with a different guy there. How different has that been, and I guess how successful do you think the implementation of all that has been?
What we do at Georgia doesn't change no matter who's in the game or with the ones. I think everybody's prepared for the moment. Like I said in another interview, we all take reps, the ones, the twos, the threes, the fours, so everybody's prepared for the moment, so nothing changes.
Well, this week, congratulations on a great season. Best of luck bringing this college football playoff home. Well, we're appreciative of your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good stuff there, Georgia Center Jared Wilson, and I want to get over here and see if we can speak to this guy for a second. Ja, you got time for us just for a second? You mind standing up, because I'd love for our audience to get a look at this. So we got Ja Jackson here, one of the most interesting signees for Georgia. Obviously towers over me. Now I'm an easy 6'2", and Ja is just towering over me. Ja, your story is such an interesting one, making that transition from basketball now to football. Everything we've heard is it's obviously gone well for you, but these are very different sports. What's that been like for you?
It's been a great experience so far, just being around Georgia and just being in, this different environment. I kind of just been taking it all in for the most part and just, trying to get better overall every day. So.
How much have you, I can only imagine, you got coaches barking instructions all the time. Like, how much have you learned now that you're like fully focused on football and this is the sport you're kind of dedicated to? How much have you learned at a obviously very quick pace?
I feel like I've learned a lot, especially with the coaches, staff, and people around. I feel like the day-to-day development has just been there, whether, the schemes or just getting better in technique and fundamentals. So I feel like it's been a great developmental experience.
We think you got a very bright future in the football field. We're glad to have you join.
Thank you.
Good stuff there from Ja Jackson, and it's such an interesting sight there from him to see all of that. We'll wander our way over here. We're live at Media Day. Of course, you're on DawgNation Daily, presented by Pella Window and Door of Georgia. Happy about having everybody here. We'll get the linebackers over here. We'll kind of catch up with some of them, and then eventually we'll work our way back towards the podium stuff over here. Let's see who we can catch up here. You got a great collection of guys. You even got Glenn Schumann right over here, too. Second. Yeah, Chris Cole right over here, too. Chris, you got time for us? Got time for us? We're live on DawgNation. You mind coming over here? Okay. He says he's about to do something. Let's see. Let's see if we can catch up with Chaz, you got time for us just for a second? We're live on DawgNation. Got Georgia linebacker Chaz Chambliss here right now. Got a lot of your guys around you here, obviously getting ready for a big game against Notre Dame. What kind of stands out to you about what it's going to take for your group to be successful against the Fighting Irish coming out?
Yeah, they pride themselves on being disciplined, being physical, and being tough just like us. It's going to come down to a line of scrimmage just like every game. They're a very talented group, and we just got to play our game.
Georgia's obviously played Notre Dame before. It's been a few years. None of the guys on this team now were on there then. So many of the games that Georgia plays are against familiar opponents. SEC teams you play every year, rivalry games, things like that. What makes it different when you've got like two teams from different regions, maybe not as much overlap in terms of players you may know personally? Sometimes that sort of spices up the rivalry because the two regions of the country want to prove they're the best. What does it mean to you to kind of be playing a big brand, a well-known team, but not really a team your teammates probably know very much personally?
Yes, sir. I think we do a great job of, opening up with teams like we have the past couple of years with Clemson, Oregon, teams like that, to where we're not only playing SEC teams and playing teams from other conferences.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Chaz, congratulations. It's been a great season for you thus far. I know you got 3 big games left that you want to see this team win, but we appreciate your time.
Sir, thank you.
Good stuff there from Chaz Chambliss. We'll keep wandering around here, and I apologize for having my back turned. We got Chidera Uzo-Deribe right here. Jeff Sintel talking to him. Let's see what else we can go here right here. You got C.J. Allen right here. C.J., you got a couple seconds for us? You mind joining us here for a second? Georgia linebacker. Yes, fine. Georgia linebacker C.J. Allen here right now. C.J., congratulations on another great season. Obviously, your linebacking core doing good things. I guess how would you evaluate how your group has played here thus far?
I think us just working throughout fall camp and the workouts, just staying together and staying connected, just playing as one, feeding off all each other. So we always say, when one does make a play, the whole group make a play. So that's how we feel about each other.
It's interesting. Last year we saw you and Raylan as freshmen sort of step in, earn playing time, and make a name for yourself while you did that. This year, in a lot of ways, it's been the guy sitting to your right there, Chris Cole, who's kind of done some of that same kind of stuff. Justin Williams has been a part of that too. What is it about Georgia that not only has the great performance from the veteran players, but also always young guys? You were once one of those guys, kind of always waiting in the wings and able to kind of make good an opportunity when it comes their way.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I just think you're always developing. University of Georgia, you always developing no matter your year 1 or year 4. You constantly getting reps day in, day out, So I think that kind of that plays a part into it, just the development piece.
Well, CJ, we certainly appreciate your time and the best of luck on Wednesday.
All right, thank you, sir.
Georgia linebacker C.J. Allen. Let's also go over here and see if we can talk to Glenn Schumann here for a moment, the Georgia defensive coordinator. Coach Schumann, you have a couple seconds for us, you mind? We're live on DawgNation, by the way. Georgia defensive coordinator Glenn Schumann. First of all, congratulations on an SEC championship, being here in the college football playoff quarterfinals. How much fun has this been? I know it's been a long season and a challenging season, but at least at this point, you're kind of right where you want to be. How good does it feel?
Man, football, it's the greatest game in the world. So getting the opportunity to do it day in, day out, at the University of Georgia is unbelievable. But
so for a lot of your players, they obviously only see this as an opponent, but as somebody who's sort of grown up around the sport, and there's a lot of prestige, right, when it's a big recognized brand like Georgia playing a big, well-known team like Notre Dame. There's history here going back to the 1981 Sugar Bowl. How much fun is it for you to know that, you're not just lining up in a quarterfinal game, but it's like two of the most recognized and respected programs in the sport getting ready to play each other? It sort of feels as big as a Sugar Bowl quarterfinal should feel, right?
Yeah, Sugar Bowl is one of the greatest games in the history of college football. And every time we get the opportunity to come down here, you're going to play a great opponent if you play in the Sugar Bowl. And we have a great opponent to play here with Notre Dame. And man, it's a great challenge and it's a great opportunity, and it'll be a great experience.
Obviously, you've talked plenty about this by now. I'm sure you're probably getting tired of it, but what unique challenges does Notre Dame present offensively? They've clearly got a good running quarterback. They've got a good running game in general. When you look across the field and see Notre Dame, what are the specific challenges you think they bring for your unit?
And they have size across the board. They're really talented, at all levels, and from skill to the O-line, to the tight ends, to the backs, quarterback, and they have the ability to play the game in different ways. They in a lot of scenarios, they're a really run-based offense with great play-action passing, but I think they're passing the ball as efficiently as they have all year recently. I think they're getting better, so we'll see what they play. They have a great offensive coordinator. Mike Denbrock's done an unbelievable job, everywhere he's been. So there's a multitude of challenges, and we're going to have to play our best.
Finish with this. Obviously, there's an old debate in football about the idea of rest versus rust. You want rest because you've been through a grinding season, and yet you've also had a longer layoff now than they will have. In your mind, is the rest so important that you're not worried about the fact that you haven't played very much football? Or is there some thought of, hey, they've played more recently than they have, and maybe that gives them not necessarily an advantage, but at least a little bit of a difference in the way they've been able to prepare?
It's all about how you manage your time. I think that debate is all relative to what you do with your time. So I really like our plan of how we've managed this. I think our guys have practiced really hard. I think, to be ready to be in game shape. So that's what it is.
We appreciate your time. Congratulations on a great season, and good luck the rest of the way.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Georgia defense coordinator Glenn Schumann, always great to get a chance to hear from him. We'll kind of roll through here and see if we can kind of work our way back over this way, hear from a few other guys. We'll also eventually make our way to the podium. Of course, you still got Kirby Smart talking right here. We're not going to get too close to Kirby just because you're not going to be able to hear that from us, but we'll have the entirety of that interview up on the DawgNation video channel, so we'll give you your chance to do that here coming up. Instead, why don't we kind of wander back here this way? We'll also work our way over. Probably need to give the podium stuff a little longer, don't you think? It's probably a little full. You got Dylan Fairchild right here. Dylan, you got a couple seconds for us? Georgia offensive lineman Dylan Fairchild, a guy who's had obviously a great career at Georgia and looking forward to a big run through this college football playoff. You're a veteran. You've kind of seen how a lot of this goes. How would you judge how these practices have been getting ready for this Sugar Bowl?
Yeah, they've been great. I think just the whole point of it all is to just take advantage of every day and try to get better with every opportunity we get.
We're talking to Coach Schumann a moment ago about, it seems like for your team, because of the schedule you played, just how difficult it was, that in the old debate of like, hey, do you want to be rested or are you worried about being too rusty, that rest is far more important than any kind of rust. And Coach Schumann said, hey, listen, it also comes down to how you manage your time during that. What do you make of how much your team kind of has needed these last couple of weeks without playing a game, and how much healthier and maybe just more rejuvenated do you think it's made you?
Yeah, for sure. Again, when you get time, you really want to take advantage of it. So, just being able to take advantage of every day and get better has been a blessing.
I'm contractually obligated to also ask you a question about Gunner Stockton before I'll let this interview go. So tell me what you've seen from him as he gets ready to make his first start.
Yeah, he's just grown into his role. This is a unique situation that we're in. So I think just him growing into his role has been awesome to see, and he's doing a great job.
Well, listen, Georgia fans have loved what you've given this program. We appreciate that, and best of luck this week.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Go Dogs.
There from Dylan Fairchild giving that Go Dogs. We'll kind of roll around here, too. We'll see who else we can get a chance to speak to. Yeah, that's right. So, again, Georgia running back Nate Frazier right here. We'll see if we can get ready to talk to him. He's speaking to a reporter here right now. You've got Mike Bobo over here. We'll get ready to try to speak to him here coming up, too, in just a minute. I saw wide receivers coach James Coley over here a little earlier. I don't see him now. Yeah, you got Coach Hartley right over here too. Why don't we see if we can work our way over here just for a little bit. Let's see. Coach Harley, may get a chance to talk to him. Yeah. Lawson, you got a couple seconds for us here? Georgia tight end Lawson Lucky, a big-time playmaker for this offense here, and it certainly seems like your position group probably playing, the best I can tell anyway, some of its best football here towards the end of the season. I guess how satisfied have you been from what you've seen from you and your fellow teammates here, kind of what we think of as sort of the stretch drive of the season?
Yeah, it's been great to see. I feel like we've been working so hard all year, and to finally see it come and show on Saturdays has been great to see, and I'm happy to see my guys finally succeeding and putting out the stats that we know we could do.
What's it like being a part of a position group that's legitimately so deep, right? I mean, Coach Harley's done such a great job recruiting that position. You're obviously a great example of that. But there are a lot of guys that sort of also look like you, too. It's an amazing level of talent. What's it like kind of being a part of that? The old adage in football is iron sharpens iron. Well, you've got a lot of iron in that position group with you, right?
Yeah, a whole lot of iron in that room, and it's great to see. It's just refreshing because everyone roots for each other. Everyone's happy to see each other succeed. We're rooting on Ben so much every week. Del, I'm just excited to see everyone succeed,
How much fun has it been? I don't know, have you been had a chance to watch too much of this, but even in our town of New Orleans last night, you had Brock Bowers doing great things. The Raiders, they beat the Saints, I guess, yesterday. How much fun has it been to see him, carrying on that legacy of Georgia tight ends, now having the sort of rookie season that everybody would have thought would have been possible for him, too, and just sort of establishing, people say like tight end university, the way that Brock's playing in the NFL certainly sort of solidifies a lot of that.
Yeah, I feel like I always knew we would see this. Like, Brock's from a different planet, man. That dude's, it's crazy to see him balling like that at the next level, but I can't say I'm surprised. That dude's unbelievable.
Well, listen, congratulations on a great season here thus far. Yeah, we got Cody Chavins here.
About the early enrollees that, Ethan and Elias have been out there practicing with you guys. They jump out just how big they are, but tell me what you've seen from those guys.
Yeah, they're just really talented guys. They've been working really hard, came here, put their head down, and just work, and that's going to take them a long way.
Well, listen, we appreciate your time. Best of luck here this week. Good stuff there from Lawson Lucky. We also got Jeff Sintel talking to Todd Harley right now, so we'll see if we can get back over there and get that. You've got Mike Bobo right over here. Let's see what else we want to do here just for a moment. Do we want to kind of just Yeah, Cody, if you see somebody we want to grab right here, we'll get a chance to do that. We'll try to mix up the position groups here a little bit, too, not give too much. There's Christian Miller there right there. That's an important thing. Miller, we also got Trey Scott. Coach Scott, you have time for us here for a second? Georgia defensive line coach Trey Scott, a guy who's had great success with his unit. First of all, congratulations on another SEC championship, being here where you want to be. I know there's still plenty of football left to play, but it's got to be a somewhat satisfying experience knowing kind of an unprecedented, tough schedule to win the SEC, to be right here. There's got to be a sense of accomplishment in that before this run and the college football playoff begins, right?
More so than anything, you're just more so excited about how the guys stayed resilient throughout the entire year and kept the main thing. That's what I'm so excited about.
Is that more challenging now than it used to be? Because I think the perception we have is that the sport, and we all love college football, but it's kind of chaotic now, right? You've got all these different sort of peripheral issues. Is the challenge of keeping the main thing, keeping everybody focused, keeping everybody happy, is that more difficult now than it used to be? Because the perception is it might be.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. If you got an ironclad culture and guys understand and are willing to buy in, it's not.
We had a chance to talk to Warren Brentz a little earlier, and he was shouting out some of the guys that he talked about, Tyron Ingram Dawkins and guys like that. Yeah. So many of the guys that you coach with, listen, in many cases it's first-round picks, it's Jordan Davis, it's T.Y., it's all that, but it's also a lot of guys who are sort of content to do their job, make a great unit. Other guys sometimes get more of the glory, other times other guys get more of the stats. How important is it to have players along the defensive line that buy into that team culture, that want to come back, want to be a part of winning, sometimes without as much fanfare as the positions get? How important is that for your guys on the defensive line in particular?
Extremely important. Team is everything to us. Connection, unity, which to us equals thinking, feeling, being as one, is extremely important. For example, someone had to know how to work this microphone. Yeah. The camera. This guy right here is doing a heck of a job, but it's a team thing, though. But I use that example to say they know without the small links, a link can't form a chain, if that makes sense. And so, we really try to make sure, and everybody knows they have a job, and they know at some points they have to make the play when it comes to them. But defense, football as a whole is a team sport. So you got to do your 111th. That's a really important thing.
We'll finish with this. I know you've got a lot to take care of this week and then hopefully 2 games after that. You've also got some interesting talent coming into this program. Elijah Griffin's a guy that people are really excited about. Isaiah Gibson's a guy we think may put his hand on the ground a little bit there too and play in your room. How much do you like the guys that are also coming in this class of 2025 right now?
Love those guys, love their family, and looking forward to seeing what happens, But you got to put action behind that potential.
I love that. Coach Scott, appreciate your time. Best of luck. Enjoy the Sugar Bowl, okay? Good stuff there. Georgia defensive line coach Trey Scott. Yeah, let's get a chance to do that. Thank you. Good stuff. Good suggestion there from Cody Chaffins. We've also got Dante Williams right here. Hey, KJ, you got a second for us right here? Georgia safety, KJ Bolden, a freshman All-American. We've seen some of those accolades rolling through here. Nice to get some attention for what you've been able to do here this year. Some of these websites kind of shouting you out as a freshman All-American, things like that. Does that feel pretty good?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm a big team guy, though. I'm really focused on winning this weekend. But, all the accolades been cool for sure. Just you get recognized for the great work you've been putting in this season.
Obviously, you're a story like a lot of Georgia players. Heralded recruit. You come in, you sort of fight for your spot on the field. You find that you have had some success. What's it like being fresh out of high school and in some ways being counted on to do a lot for Georgia, but also succeeding a lot of those moments too? How would you evaluate what your freshman year at UGA has been like?
It's been great. The coaches got trust in me. Just to know that the coaches got trust in me every day, and it just makes you feel better as a player. And just going out here every day and working with my guys, and it's just the funnest part out here. The connection this team has is just so different, and I just love being here.
We've seen, it seems like at Georgia a lot, there's sort of the passing of the baton where it's J.R. Reed gives way to Rich LeCount. Rich LeCount gives way to Lewis Seen, and you've been working with Malachi Starks. How much do you learn from a guy like Malachi, and how much do you appreciate the fact that there's always sort of seems to be that sort of next safety kind of waiting the wings at UGA? How much of that lineage are you aware of, and how proud are you to be a part of that?
Oh, yeah, it was great learning from Malachi this season. Him being a vet him coming in his freshman year doing the same thing, playing. It was definitely great. He comes to the facility every day, 110%, ready to practice. He's a great leader. He just checks all the boxes, and so as my guy Dan Jackson, he's another great senior leader. I've been looking after. So just watching them come to practice every day and them competing with each other and just on it every day, it just makes you nothing but a better player and wants you to go out there and compete as hard as you can.
What's it going to take to beat Notre Dame this week?
I think we just got to stay as a team, play tough, physicality, the same thing we do every weekend. Just play as Georgia, don't change up a thing. Just play as Georgia, and I think we'll be great.
KJ, congratulations on a great year thus far. Best luck this week, and bring on that national championship. Good stuff there from KJ Bolden. Coach Williams, you got time for us for a second here? Yes. We're live on DawgNation. This is Dante Williams, the cornerbacks coach here for UGA, getting familiar with this program, getting a chance to be a part of the college football playoff. How much fun has this ride been for you thus far this year?
It's been great. It's a learning process on a daily. So, anytime you got this many great DB coaches in one spot, or coaches in general, you're going to constantly learn. And, like I say, I'm all about the players and, the people. So to continue to learn the people on a daily basis, I think it's been a great ride.
Yeah, obviously you bring your own set of knowledge with you based on your coaching experience, and as you said, there's a lot of coaching experience that you're interacting with here. What's that, integration process been like as you've kind of brought your ideas, you've kind of absorbed some of their ideas? What's that process been like?
It's been great. To be honest, you kind of get over that learning curve. I got over it last year during the Orange Bowl, and at the same time, spring football. Right now, it's just making sure that, our ideas been gelled together, so now it's making sure that the players pretty much understand the process and we do things the dog way.
So obviously Georgia fans have their eye on this game this week, win the national championship, but Georgia fans are also thinking about the future a lot of times too. For guys that may be on the field this year we haven't seen as much, like an Ellis Robinson or DeMello Jones, guys that you're working with on a regular basis, how do you feel like their progression during their freshman season has been, and what might we see more of them from them in the future?
Like I said, our biggest thing has been still focused on this game, and that's why it's great that you get opportunity for these games, because you get these extra practices. And just like them, as a group, as a whole, as a defensive backs, we continue to get better because we've been lucky enough to have these practices, and still before we even knew our opponent, we was able to focus on ourselves.
And also, it kind of reinforces the standard, right? The Sugar Bowl in the playoff, it sort of sets that stage of, hey, this is what guys before you've done, this is what we want you to be able to do too.
Correct. It's a plus anytime you get 3 guys that left the year before that, all succeeded in the NFL and started since day one. I think it gives these guys something to, see in the near future.
Coach Williams, thanks for your time. Best of luck this week. Good stuff there. Dante Williams, the Georgia cornerbacks coach. Nice to be able to hear from him. We got Christian Miller right over here, too. I wonder if we get a chance to talk to Christian. If we could do that. Christian's a guy that's obviously pretty. Hey, Christian, you got a second for us? We're live on DawgNation here right now. I guess most important question is, how you feeling right now?
I feel blessed.
Are you feeling? Listen, I feel great, but people don't care about how I feel. They care about how you feel.
Man, it's not all about me. It's about you too, man.
I love that. Are you going to be able to play this week?
Is it cold outside? Yeah, I'm here to play.
I love to hear that from Christian Miller. Obviously, you're a big leader. You've had a lot of fun here. How much have you enjoyed what you've been able to see from your defense? Big performance against Texas in the SEC Championship. You got this team right where they want to be. How much fun is it to watch this unit kind of grow around you?
First of all, I love your energy. Second of all, man, I love my group, man. It's a lot of guys with heart. It's a lot of guys that put a lot of effort towards practice, towards the game, and they got a lot of pride. So I love that. So I love my group. I feel like we're really tough, and I just like playing with them boys, man.
When Georgia's winning its first championship under Kirby Smart in 2021, a phrase that he used a lot back then was complementary football. Offense, defense, working together to help each other. So your offense now got a little bit of a different story. You got Gunner Stockton stepping in at quarterback. You guys want to play well no matter what, but how much more energized is your group to say, hey, man, we're going to go out there and lay it on the line because we got another quarterback over here. We're going to help him. We're going to have our best defensive game. This defense is going to help the offense. This offense is going to help the defense. How big of an idea is complementary football, knowing it's a little bit of a different story for the offense this week?
It's always big for us, but I don't feel like nothing changed. I feel like it's the same thing whether Carson in there, whether Coach Bobo throwing at quarterback, whether anything. So I feel like we treating it the same way. But we still got Gunner back, but we treating it the same way.
How glad have you been, your teammates been, to have this rest for a couple of weeks? Long season, toughest schedule I've ever seen Georgia play. Challenge one right after the other. Guys banged up. That's going to happen. How valuable have these last couple of weeks been?
It's been really valuable, especially for me coming off my injury. It's been really valuable for me to just get a lot of rehab in, get some practices in under my belt because I've been down for a little minute. But I feel like it's good because we used it the right way. We didn't take time off in the wrong way. We took time off in the right aspect. So it's been good.
Well, listen, congratulations, a great season thus far. Best of luck, and I'm glad to see you feeling good, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the field. Good stuff there, Georgia defensive lineman Christian Miller. We love that. Yeah, Nate Frazier over here. You got. We're going to walk over and see if we can get Nate here just for a moment, a guy we haven't really heard from during the year, the freshman running back. Where is Nate? Right here, over here. Nate, you got a couple seconds for us? This is Georgia freshman running back Nate Frazier, a guy that's really electrified Georgia fans at different times this year. How much fun has the transition been? Obviously, people know this. You know, you weren't an early enrollee. You had to come here in the summer. That means you're learning fast to get ready to contribute. What's that process been like? I'm guessing it's been like a roller coaster throughout the season, right?
It's just been crazy, man. It's been a great experience. I've just been very humbled to be in the position that I am, and I'm just blessed and thankful.
What have you learned about being a running back, playing as much as you have here as a freshman and being called upon to contribute as much as you have? What have you learned about being a running back because of the experience you've gotten this year?
Something I learned about being a running back is just a lot more to it than just getting the ball and going and running. Like, it's more of a technique to being a running back. It's little details and small things that you need to know to try to be a better running back. It's just being a running back is quite hard. It's probably one of the hardest positions on the field to play, but yeah, that's what it is, sir.
How much has it helped you to be around a guy like Trevor Etienne? The experience that I get, it seems like Trevor's a great spokesman, a great leader, a thoughtful guy. How much have you gained from that, just being around a guy who's played a lot of football and seems to be pretty open about talking about his experience? How valuable has that been for you?
Having Trevor in our room has been great, man. He's been in the SEC for quite years. I consider him a vet. So just learning the details from him, being in the team meeting rooms, being in our unit rooms, our running back meetings and stuff like that as well. Just have him by my side on and off the field, telling me things I need to get better at and telling me things I need to fix. Just having him and using his knowledge and stuff like that has been great. It's been great for me. It's been great to use and utilize in my game and stuff like that. So I appreciate Trevor for that. Man, Trevor's a great leader, a great player, and a great person all around, just not on the field and off the field as well.
I'll finish with this, and I know you want to speak for anybody else, but I know that Roderick Robinson and Branson Robinson have been kind of battling their injury situation a little bit. What are their spirits like right now? Because I know it's been tough, for them, and it sounds like they've had some injury setbacks here. What's that been like for them?
They've been great, man. We're just trying to keep their heads up. Not too really much to say about that, man. They're great persons, man. They're very determined. They love the game as well, just as much as we love the game. We're just here for them.
Cody wants to ask you a question.
Yeah, so you're a guy at the very first touchdown. You're kind of paying homage to Todd Gurley, and we've seen Sony Michel. For you, what does that mean? Why is that important to you, especially a guy from California? And what did you already know about Georgia football?
It means a lot to me, man. Honestly, just watching all those great running backs. As I'm watching the highlights, of course I'm watching their plays and all the cuts and the great plays they're making. But as I realize, I just see the touchdowns that they did. And as I keep watching, I see all of them doing it. So I just want to keep this tradition alive. I want to keep RBU alive. So that was just doing that was like kind of making a mark to me to keep it alive for, other running backs that's going to come here after me and stuff like that.
Did you get a lot of feedback from that? Because people loved it.
I do. Honestly, yes, sir, I do. So I will continue to do it. That's probably the only celebration I will be doing.
Listen, you're a lot of fun to watch. Best of luck this week. Good stuff there from Nate Frazier, the terrific freshman Georgia running back. Yeah, you want to go over here to the podium stuff? Do we want to wait and get Bobo, or do we want to come over here? Probably, let's go over here. All right. So hey, Coach Darrell, we're going to walk over here and sort of see what's going on the other side of the room. A lot of the Georgia players we haven't heard too much from yet. We'll try to do that. By the way, we'll also tell you we're cruising around the SEC, courtesy of Royal Caribbean. By now, you know Jessica Slater, the one to turn to for the great DawgNation cruise coming up in April. Exciting stuff on Utopia of the Seas. In fact, we just heard from some folks this week getting back off Utopia of the Seas. So that's an awesome experience. Obviously, Star of the Seas debuts this summer. So Jessica Slater can tell you all about that. You can email her, jslater@dreamvacations.com. You can also give her a call. You'll see that number on your screen. You'll get a chance to do a lot of that. So you got Smile Mondin right here. Oscar Delbra right over there. Let's see if we can sneak over here and talk to Tate Ratledge here just for a moment. I'll put. Yeah, do we want to try to do this? Have enough people done that? Let's get the camera on Gunner, and we'll see if we can get close enough to do this. You won't be able to hear this as well, but you'll certainly get the scene on this.
Go out there and play with guys, and it was awesome. I'm excited.
What's all this been like? This is the part you hadn't had to do, probably since high school, all the interviews. What's that been like?
Yeah, it's been a little different. Like my freshman year, the bowl game, we were. It was me, Carson, and Brock Vandegrift just at a table doing interviews, just watching Stetson do this. So it's been a little different, but I'm enjoying it.
It looks like they're confronting Tate. What has Tate done to deserve the entire offensive line? What are we looking at?
I don't know.
Are you concerned?
You might have said something.
Are you concerned for Tate's well-being? Let's go check it out.
Yeah, so we got the Georgia offensive line over here all gathering around Tate Ratledge. We'll see if we can get this scene. We'll try to get back and talk to Gunner some more here in just a minute. But you got the entirety of the Georgia offensive line. They're all holding up phones. They're all gathered around Tate Ratledge right here. Kind of a funny scene. Very funny here as everybody's got their cameras out. You got Jared Wilson right in the front.
Yeah, and they're laying in the end zone, so it's
Ratledge trying to keep it serious and answer a serious football question.
Tate, Xavier Charles right here. Tate. Your mustache. Tate. What is your morning? What's your hair care program like in the morning when you wake up? What's the first thing you do?
Shampoo, conditioner, brush it.
All right. Very interesting.
Tate, how much would I have to pay you to touch your mode?
A lot.
Numbers?
I don't know. We can discuss that later.
Okay.
How do you keep the mustache so clean?
I can't tell you that answer.
Who's your favorite freshman on line?
None of them. Let's get Udi.
Block my wife on Facebook, please.
Tate, how much fun is it to have your teammates like that hanging out, having a good time? I mean, obviously it's a serious football week, but some of this is a big part of it too, right? The kind of team camaraderie, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, just the connection we have, the bonds we have, it's ones we're going to have for life. So I think just being around these guys every chance we get. I mean, we say it towards the end of the year every year. This is the last few games that this team's going to be together. So the team's always going to look new the next year. So just being around these guys as much as I can means a lot.
How meaningful is that for you? Because you've obviously played a lot of that that football. How meaningful is that for you to know that, hey, every season brings a new end, but for you, having been here for a while, that is maybe especially poignant for you. Have you taken much time to think about that or anything like that?
I try not to. I just try to take it week by week and focus on what I got to focus on. I guess I'll start thinking about that when time comes.
What's it been like watching Gunner Stockton now? And I know everybody's asking about that, and I'm no different, but what's it been like watching Gunner Stockton now kind of start to fit into this culture, get his chance, get his moment? The sense that we get on the outside looking in is that everybody really believes in him. Yeah. Where does that belief come from, though?
Just seeing how he prepares, how he carries himself, seeing what he does in practice. He's a great football player. Everybody has complete confidence in him.
What have you learned about Notre Dame and getting ready for this?
They're really physical, really quick, and their linebackers are very downhill. They have a really gap-sound defense. They play really sound football.
Well, listen, enjoy your time here. Let's get a question from Cody here, too.
You're one of the closest people with Carson. Have you talked to him? What's he kind of the mood of him having to go through this elbow surgery?
I mean, yeah, of course he's down. I mean, he came back to playing the playoffs, but just seeing the way he's handled it's been good. Just being helping Gunner, helping us, just being around, stuff like that.
Yeah, obviously, there's always going to be a tension with the quarterback, right? And it seems like with a lot of spotlight on him, it seems like he handled that with a lot of grace, and a lot of poise here this year. And I think now that he's moving on, he's made his announcement, he's going to the NFL. I think a lot of people will now have time to reflect on. Comes back in the game against Texas. He played amazing against Georgia Tech. Really, a lot of big moments for him. Obviously, even though it comes short because of an injury, I think now that he's made the announcement, now that he's getting ready to move on, I think for a lot of Georgia fans, they'll have their chance to sort of reflect on some of the moments that he put together. When you think about his time on the field, what comes to mind for you?
I mean, we wouldn't be in this position without him. I think everybody knows that. I mean, Carson, there's multiple times we've scored touchdowns strictly off Carson getting us in the right look. If we weren't in the right look, plays dead. And just his intelligence on the field and the way he operated on the field, I think is huge. And just like you said, he's made huge plays this year against Tech, coming in against Texas, just things like that, just that remind you of what kind of player he actually is.
Hey, best of luck this week. Thanks for your time. Appreciate that. Really good stuff there from Tate Ratledge. We'll see if we can get some other stuff here. We got Smile Monin over here. Jalon Walker's also. What do you think, Cody? We want to. Okay, good. Let's go see. You get a chance to see if we can talk to him. A small number of folks hanging around here right now. How are we doing on time, Cody? Do you have any idea? All right, thank you very much. So we'll get to see if we go over here and get a microphone in Trevor Etienne's face.
Trevor, talk to me a little bit about transferring here from Florida, going to Florida, and then coming back to Georgia. What has that whirlwind been like?
I'm from Louisiana.
From Louisiana?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But now it's been crazy, man. It's two rival schools, but I'm blessed to have both of those coaching staffs in my life. From Florida, it's I know the media makes it to be like something it's not, but I have nothing for love from the staff and the people at Florida. I feel like they helped mold me into the man I am today. And just coming here and just combining those two worlds together, it's been great for me. It's been huge.
So you guys have had a really unique path to the title. Obviously losing early and then losing late down the stretch. It's often we'll see teams sort of fall apart after that second loss. And you guys definitely had a scare in the last week of the season with the 8 overtimes. Just a very unique path to the playoff. How has this group really stayed together and prevented the season falling apart?
The connection we have throughout the team. It's like one thing I say about this team, we'll never quit. You can't get us to go away. And I feel like that's why we are how we are, because the work we put in, the off season, the preparation, it wasn't for nothing. It shows up in those fourth quarters, and when the game gets tight, when things get tough, when it's not going our way, everyone keeps a level head and doesn't give up.
There have been several moments over the course of the last few weeks when you've said, hey, this is why I came to Georgia, playing games like this, whether it's the Sugar Bowl or the SEC Championship. You've said that. How much different does a big game feel when the spotlight's bigger, when there's all this extra media attention, when the stakes are so high? How much better, different does a big game truly feel?
It feels great. It's amazing. It's like you can only dream for moments like this as a kid. These are games I watch my brother play in. I watch the great players of all time play in. So it's like I'm competing for a shot at the national title. I couldn't ask for nothing better than that.
How hard was it to come back for that? We know you battled your rib injury, and we know how hard you were working to get back on the field. And it sort of seems like, the best that I can tell, you're getting healthier at sort of the exact right moment for this stretch run. How difficult a journey has that been for you?
Dealing with a rib injury, it's nothing fun about it. But, it's like I love the game, man. I was trying to be back out there as soon as I could. You know, no matter if use me as a decoy, you don't even have to give me the ball. Just let me get on the field, coach. It was, man, I couldn't wait to be back out there with the guys. So it's huge to be back and be healthy.
Last thing for me, we saw a little bit of a video when Gunner first came in the SEC championship. The best that I could tell, it seemed like you guys gave each other a little bit of a fist bump right there. What was that moment about, and why was it important for you to kind of, I guess, welcome him into the game the way that you did?
I mean, just let him know I had his back. You know, I'm here for you. We're here for you. You know, that just wasn't a bump for me. That was kind of like the whole team. You know, just letting him know that we're here for you. Come out here and be yourself, man. Have fun with this.
Good luck in your home state this week. Good stuff there from Trevor Etienne. And, boy, you listen to a guy like that talk, you certainly understand why Georgia would be attracted to a transfer like that. Really, really sharp guy, really good stuff there coming from Trevor Etienne. Got Malachi Starks right over here. We'll see if we can get some attention from Malachi here for a minute. Good stuff here from Georgia safety Malachi Starks. I had a chance to talk to KJ Bolden a little earlier. We're talking about the great legacy of safeties here at Georgia, where there's like the baton gets passed from what J.R. Reed to Richard LeCounte to Lewis Seen, and you're a part of that. Now KJ's a part of that. How important is that legacy and lineage for you to both contribute to the next generation, but also kind of live up to, you know, all the moments you've had a chance to be a part of here during your Georgia career too?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge when you look at it, and the guys, like, you do it for the guys who come before you and the guys who come after you. And I think when I got here, the guys who helped me become who I am today, I'm very grateful for that, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity I've had to, you know, to lead KJ and, you know, help him out with some things that I went through and that I know that he was going through personally. So I think just that baton that gets passed down and the legacy of the DBs that run here, I mean, it's a great opportunity to be a part of, and I'm very blessed.
This is a little bit of a different type of situation for you this year. There's been less Will Muschamp around and more of obviously T-Rob. What has the feeling been like with just a little bit of a different kind of balance, I guess, in the kind of coaching that you've been getting?
Yeah. Well, they were together for like a long time, so when we got here, we all said that T-Rob was another Muschamp. Literally, he's the same, and he just brings a different type of energy, though. Like, they have two different types of energies, and I think the guys in the room responded very well to that change, and I think sometimes you can get guys don't respond well to a coaching change, but he came right in and he fit it right in, and you know, he brought something to that room that was great for us, and I think it's been a little different, but it's been awesome.
One of the things we've had a chance to talk to some of your teammates about on your side of the ball is coming off a big defensive performance against Texas. And it seems like for whatever reason, in 2 games against a very good Texas team, your guys were sort of at your best in that spot. How much additional confidence does it maybe give your unit coming into this game, knowing that the reason why you're here is because of how well y'all played on your side of the ball?
Yeah, I think when you realize and you see it, and you know you can step up whenever you need to step up and play whenever you need to play. I think it makes a big difference on what you can do, and I think it's just huge with that confidence side of the ball. You know, guys who've got some things like that, and some guys who haven't got an opportunity to play in that game. But I think the confidence goes for everybody.
What do you make of these Georgia offensive linemen too? They've surrounded Tate Ratledge, they surrounded Gunner, and now they got Jalon Walker trapped over there. What do you make of these guys?
Man, that group is a special group. I would say that, and I would just leave it there for sure.
Georgia fans think y'all are all a very special group. Best of luck in the Sugar Bowl here this week. We'll look forward to hopefully seeing you guys go on a big run here. Good stuff there from Malachi Starks, one of the true fan favorites around Georgia. An outstanding season, an outstanding career. Fun stuff going on with the Georgia offensive lineman here. We got a chance to, let's see. Yeah, okay. We also got Jalon right. You want to grab Jalon right here? How about a chance? Listen, you get a chance to talk to the Butkus Award-winning linebacker. Of course, you're going to do that. Jalon Walker here right now. First of all, congratulations. A lot of Georgia fans love the national award. The fact that 3 Butkus Award winners now. It's like a consecutive streak of national awards for a long time. How much personal pride do you take in kind of adding to that legacy?
Right. It was a goal of mine since a young age to do so, and adding to the legacy. It speaks a lot about the Georgia linebackers, and the history we have here is very rich, and what we do next in the future, I pray to see many more Butkus Award winners come.
Of course, you're a hybrid guy, so you're kind of doing a lot of different things outside sometimes too, but it seems like Georgia has always had the great interior linebacker play, going back to guys like Nakobe and Roquan before you, and guys obviously on the team right now. What is it about this defense that seems to cultivate that level of success? I'm talking about seemingly every year.
The amount of players around us, especially the D-line, Coach Scott says, 2 on me, somebody's free. And he sold me that vision at a young age in my recruiting. Without the big defensive lineman we have in front of us, a lot of the opportunities that I have is not possible and not be able to happen.
I had a chance to talk to Coach Scott about this a little earlier, and we were talking about how a lot of those guys in that defensive line seem to be totally fine with, you're going to get more stats, you're going to get more attention, not just you, but a lot of your teammates that are there as well, and they're just sort of fine with that because the entire unit benefits from that, and they don't get their name on the website quite as much maybe, but they're contributing to victory, and they just seem to be sort of okay with that. How much do you appreciate the fact that, and a lot of this starts with the way guys like Jordan Davis would have played in the past, but how much do you appreciate the sense of camaraderie that forms around almost people being fine with whoever gets the credit?
Right. You heard the no-name defense a term a long time ago, and us having the success that we do at the inside backer room, it stems from the defensive line. Without the defensive line, like I said, a lot of plays wouldn't be able to happen because they take on those guys coming up to us and they get those guys off of us most of the time, which is, I really appreciate deeply because those guys see our grind week in, week out of what we do in practice and how we prepare for it. So those guys doing what they need to do for us, it's just a great opportunity for us.
I'll finish with this. I remember when you committed to Georgia, how cool that was, and now we're talking about, Buckets Ward and college. Has it gone by as fast for you as it's gone by for the rest of us?
It has. Very fast. A blink of eye. I remember being in L.A., waving the flag for the national championship that time, and then it feels like forever ago, but it really doesn't. It feels like it was just last month. So.
Hey, best of luck to you. Good stuff coming up from in the Sugar Bowl and everything else. We want to see if we can get over here now. Yeah. Let's see if we can get over here and see if we can get some stuff with Gunner Stockton here. Georgia quarterback Gunner Stockton.
Just going into it, preparing the right way, and just taking advantage of every practice, every opportunity I had was a big part.
Is there any of the early enrollees, these guys that just got to campus, that really stood out?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of them. Just seeing them run routes and get here, and I'm excited to see how they'll do.
So you got 14 counts? I did. 14. So what do you do with them? I'm not too familiar. I'm kind of between city and country myself. So what do you do with the cows?
We sell the steers.
Yeah.
So, but they got to make sure they're all fed and healthy.
So how do you deal with that with such a busy schedule?
I don't run it. My dad does. So. But he takes care of it.
Does he want you to hand it off to you here, like in the summer, like you come out here and help me out?
Yeah, maybe when I go home on the weekends.
Yeah. Gunner, have you gotten the sense, obviously what we do, we see the reaction of fans, how much support you've been getting since it's been kind of known you're going to be the starter? Have you felt that the Georgia fans are really kind of rallying around you right now?
Yeah, I've enjoyed just seeing how my teammates and everybody has done that, and it gives me some confidence. So.
The sense that I get is, obviously exterior, you don't seem to be fazed by any of this, but is it true on the inside? Like what is it like to get so much attention when maybe, a year or so ago, that's just not really how things were? What's that been like?
Yeah, it's been different. Like in high school, just going back, it's just, and then coming here, not getting as much, but that's the way it is, and I'm excited for my opportunity and the experience I'm going through. So.
Have you been able to have any interactions with Carson Beck since it's been known that he's hurt and now on his way to the NFL and you're the guy? Have you had any kind of personal interactions with him since then?
I haven't. He called me a little bit ago, but I'm really excited that his surgery went well, and I'm excited for his future.
And obviously there's going to be a lot of attention on you, but what do you want to see from your Georgia offensive teammates against Notre Dame on Wednesday?
Yeah, just everybody playing together and just playing hard and just having fun.
Good stuff there. That's Georgia quarterback Gunner Stockton. Certainly interesting to get a chance to hear from him. A little bit of chat or interaction there with Carson Beck. If you think back to when in 2021 when Stetson Bennett was playing in place of JT Daniels, JT was kind of right there in the huddle with him talking about everything that he was seeing, and obviously a big source of support for Stetson Bennett in that moment. It sounds like in the case of Carson Beck and Gunner Stockton, they've at least been able to have a little bit of a conversation here. We've got Mikhail Williams and Oscar Oscar Delp right over here. In fact, well, let's go talk to Oscar Delp here just for a moment. Oscar may think he's done. He may think he's getting a break, but here come more cameras. Talk to him. Oscar, we're live here on DawgNation right now. First of all, it certainly seems like, and maybe your perspective is different, it seems like you've been playing excellent football sort of in the right time here during this stretch run of the year. 2 big catches, of course, in that overtime period against Texas. How have you kind of seen your season progress, and I guess how good does it feel to sort of see you and your tight end position group seemingly really kind of clicking what it looks to me like at the exact right time?
Yeah, I mean, we've always had good guys in that room, and we've always had a really good room, and stuff at the beginning of the year might not have gone the way it seemed for the fans and everyone, or not all the catches we wanted, but, you know, we practice hard every day, and you do it at practice, it comes to you in the game. So, you know, I think just making one play after another and just building that confidence and trust with your quarterback and coordinator, it's a lot. But, I mean, we're out there doing things where people don't really notice just what we do just because how versatile of a position we play. So
let me ask you what may be a dumb question, but you talk about confidence and trust. For those of us who are not at practice every day and we sort of think about, okay, well, now there's a new starting quarterback and, you know, you've got to get on the same page. I imagine the ball looks a little different coming out of his hand. Maybe it feels a little different when you're trying to receive it. Like, how much of that had to be done really quickly over the course of the last couple of weeks? Or is this a story of what actually we've been kind of catching passes from Gunner and drills for going back a couple of years? It's not all that different. Like, what is the process of trying to get comfortable with a new starting quarterback and also to maybe make him be and help him be as comfortable as he can be too?
Yeah, I mean, we make practice. Coach Smart does a really good job of preparing everyone, giving everyone reps. I mean, Gunner's been getting reps with all of us since he got here. I live with Gunner. I've been throwing the ball with him since I met him. And to have a guy like that practices as hard as he does, it doesn't make it hard for that transition. You know, Coach Smart does a really good job of making practice harder than the game. So Gunner's ready for it. We're all ready for it. We've been getting reps with him for 3 years now. So it really never skipped a beat. I mean, we just got told that he was in, and we were all excited. We were all happy. No one was worried. No one was nervous. We were confident in him. We were excited in him, and he was confident in us.
A couple of questions about that, if you don't mind. So I've asked other guys this today too, like, where does that confidence kind of come from? Because for those of us, once again, kind of on the outside looking in, just sort of paying attention to this as a fan or a media member, whatever else, it is obvious that there's real belief there, right? Kirby's talked about it. Other people have talked about it. It is obvious there is genuine belief in his ability to succeed. Where does that really come from, and why is that feeling as palpable as it is?
It's just the kind of guy he is, you know. I mean, like I said, we practice so hard, and to see the stuff that he does at practice and players make at practice, it's like, okay, you're doing that here in front of Kirby screaming on the mic at you in the ear. I mean, you can do that anywhere, and it translates over to the game. He practices so hard, prepares so well, and it showed. You know, he came in there in the second half, went overtime, didn't flinch at all, and, you know, won us that game.
And then I'll finish with this. I had a chance to ask Gunner this myself a moment ago. It seems like on the outside he's just handling all this just fine, right? He doesn't seem to be bothered by all the attention, the fanfare, and, like, you know, there's so much talk about him right now, and he seems to be taking it in stride. As someone who does live with him, is it also that way behind the scenes too? I mean, is he really as at peace with all of this as it appears that he is right now?
Yeah, he is. He really is. He's not nervous at all. I mean, or at least he hasn't shown it to us. I mean, he's just being himself, and that's who he is. He's a genuine guy. We love him. He loves us, and we've got his back. And, you know, he's excited. He's ready, and, you know, everyone's confident in him.
Well, congratulations on an SEC championship. Great season thus far. Best of luck in the college football playoff starting on Wednesday, okay?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Good stuff. Georgia tight end Oscar Delp. Have they called time on us here? Or is everybody leaving? So the Georgia players look like they're going to be making their way out. We are inside of a minute. We may get a little video of Gunner Stockton kind of walking off. And, boy, you got a really poignant message there from Oscar Delp about, you know, what that experience has been like. You see Gunner having some fun. Very interesting scene around here today, and we'll kind of follow this out. And we'll get ready to wrap up what's been sort of a marathon edition of our show today, getting a chance to hear from a lot of guys. You see Trevor being carried out by Tate Ratledge, Gunner Stockton right there. See, this is one of the reasons why I like events like this, is because I do think you get a chance to see a version of Georgia that you don't otherwise get to see, the sort of fun part of it, because for as, like, much of Georgia football is about Kirby Smart screaming on a microphone at practice and guys, Bloody Tuesday and the physicality that's associated with that. We all understand this from a human standpoint. It can't all be that way. Some of it's got to be offensive linemen goofing off. Some of it's got to be Trevor Etienne jumping onto Gunner Stockton's shoulders. And I don't think that you can spend time around all of this the way we have today without coming to the conclusion that what Oscar Delp said and what Trevor Etienne said and what a lot of these guys have said, They do authentically believe this. They do genuinely think. We may come over here that way people are not having to walk behind us. I think they genuinely, authentically do believe that Gunner is their guy for this game. And as Tate Ratledge said, it's not because they didn't like Carson Beck. It's not because Carson Beck didn't do some outstanding things for them over the course of his career, including in kind of the final moments, it turns out, of his Georgia career. This is not a take against Beck. This is simply the perspective of, given the scenario now, the circumstances that exist now, the fact that your starting quarterback is no longer available to you, who do we turn to? These Georgia players believe they are turning to a guy that they know can get that job done. Now, we of course know doesn't guarantee anything for the game itself, but it certainly explains why the stuff you've been hearing during these press conferences, because look, let's just be real about this. If I bring a Georgia player to a podium and say, you've got 10 minutes, there's a scripted message that they're not going to break from. But if you walk around a room like this and you just sort of, as polite a way as we can, stick a microphone into somebody's face, at a certain point you're going to get something that's a little bit more genuine, a little bit more real over the course of a long period of doing all of this. And I think you saw some of that today, that even in kind of a relaxed moment when they're not, kind of, I guess, dressed up for the camera, these Georgia players do really believe in Gunner Stockton. They do really believe in the way in which, to use a phrase that we've used a little bit before, complementary football, how these two groups can interact with each other. How that comes together on the field on Wednesday, we shall see. But I think you certainly see how genuine that is on the part of these Georgia players here right now. Let me take care of a couple of other pieces of business, and we'll get ready to go. I think Cody Chafins, you've done an outstanding job today, both getting some good questions in, but also running around with us all day long here today, too. I'll remind you that Jittery Joe's, by the way, has got a great holiday gift for you. We're obviously on the other side of Christmas, but if you want to give somebody a gift for New Year's, or if you just want to celebrate some Georgia fans in your life, those commemorative cans from Jittery Joe's, great way to do that. Celebrating 2021, 2022 national championships, and who knows, maybe even another national championship commemorative can on the way here from Jittery Joe's very soon. You can check that out. Also, Jittery Joe's got franchising opportunities now, too. So if you love Athens' best coffee, and it's been that way, 14 years in a row, it's been voted Athens' best coffee, been a fixture in the Athens business community for 30 years. If you'd like to bring the great taste of Jittery Joe's to your community, you can talk about getting a Jittery Joe's franchise. It's a great business, sort of a turnkey business opportunity. You can check out more of that online at jitteryjoes.com. I'll also give a shout out here to our friends at Academy Sports and Outdoors there as well. All the gear you need to make this upcoming new year as fun as it can be. We're sort of getting back to sports now. It's like, I would say that in our family, we've had a few days of not a whole lot of sports going on. My son's been beating me up, taking him to the batting cage. But for the most part, we haven't been doing as much of that. But, now that the calendar turns to January, it's about to. Folks getting ready to get back to those sports. And so if you want to get back to those activities and new equipment to go with those activities, the prices that you're going to love, our friends at Academy Sports and Outdoors have that for you. They've also got curbside pickup right now, too. So it's easy to sort of jump in there and get the gear that you need. Georgia apparel, you want to look good, they've got that. But also sports equipment, things like that. All of that online at academy.com. That's academy.com for a lot more on that. The great brands that they're famous for, apparel, equipment, all of that in store there at Academy Sports and Outdoors, online at academy.com. All right, so let's do this. Let's shift into a very short version of our R.S. Andrews cool down, and then I got to give Cody a break after that because he has been toting that camera all day long here. And plus, we got to get ready. We've got Georgia practice coming up a little bit later on today. We've got On the Beat coming up today, which will be a reaction essentially to a Georgia practice here. So let me take a moment to sort of say hello to some commenters. I'll try to do this quick. We got to get out of here after that. A very different version of our show. We appreciate your tolerance for what's a little bit different format than we normally do, but we also think it's for a very good reason. If I have a chance to walk through a room and show you casual conversations with Georgia coaches and players, didn't get a chance to talk to everybody we wanted to, but we also sort of knew we never would on that. If we get a chance to do all that, of course we're going to do that here today. So hopefully that's all gone really well for you. Let me turn my sound down here. I'll get a couple comments. We'll get ready to bounce out of here after that. Let me go to DawgNation.com first. I think I've got some stuff right here to do. Thank you, though. DT, thanks for the kind words. Appreciate that. Appreciate you. Like I said, it is a different way to do a broadcast, right? Completely different. Obviously, it's we don't usually walk around for an hour plus here like that. My job is easy. It's Cody who's had the hard job, but he's done a great job with all of that. And I appreciate that. Also getting a lot of kind words in here about this today. So thank you very much to Savannah Bryan and DT and UG Marine at DawgNation.com are saying all that. I really appreciate that. This has been a lot of fun. You got to understand something for me, this job is not a job, right? It's like if I get a chance 2 days before the Sugar Bowl to walk through here and talk to Georgia about the Sugar Bowl, well, I'm going to be as happy about that as anybody could be. So the fact that I get the chance to do this is an incredible privilege for me, and the fact that you all would tune in and be a part of that, well, of course, I feel really good about that too. Let me go to YouTube here just for a moment. Obviously, this room, Cody's done a good job of having us some light today, too. We've done media days before. I don't think we've ever done it in a room that's quite as dark as this one is, but nonetheless, really good. Wyatt Fielden, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. Yeah, Tripp says they ran everybody out quick. So this is the way it goes. It's like over here, there's, in fact, let's see if we can show this. On the far side there, see those two big video screens? They run a countdown throughout all of this, and when it says time's up, now it says time's up. And the moment it does, the players dart out. And listen, let's give these Georgia guys a lot of credit here, because it is not fun to have to answer these questions, and obviously we're asking them to do something a little bit different because we're asking them to do it live. Like, that's not probably fun for them, but you saw every single one of them were so kind to do it and not feeling like, put upon to do that. So all really classy, I thought, in how they handled that. Not an easy thing for them to do. It's like most of those guys don't talk to the media very much, and so to have somebody like me grab them and put them on camera and put all the lights in their face and stuff like that, they're all really kind to do that. Let's see if we can do something else. Oh, boy, a lot of kind words in here. Johnny Surfdog, I appreciate that. Wyatt Fielden asking about practice. There is open practice today. I'll be totally honest, we're on Yoga Watch for this. We got really good practice on Saturday. In fact, we had, we had 3 good videos come up from that. We had a video that I did live. Cody's video is shot beautifully. It's about half speed, so you're going to see more. It's just more cinematic. That's gotten a ton of views online. That's really good. If you want to see the Colby Young catch, he has that. You have that on that video, right? He's got the Colby Young catch. A really nice shot of Gunner Stockton kind of doing a scramble move, which is sort of what you sort of think of Gunner Stockton doing. Beautiful video of that. So if you want to see that, we've got that on the DawgNation YouTube page. We were live just sort of describing what we're seeing, and a lot of the same stuff. I would say that the Cody footage is just better footage because it's more zoomed in, and it's shot at a little bit of a different speed. So we had we also had a reaction video that we did after that practice. So we had like legit real practice on Saturday. I don't know that we're getting that today. We're going to go. It's in the Superdome, so you'll at least get a chance to see the inside of the Superdome. And if they're practicing, if they're doing whatever, we'll show it to you. My guess is let me just say what I said a moment ago. We're sort of on Yoga Watch for today, but we're going to be there no matter what it is. We're going to be there no matter what it is. Yeah, Brady the Pest Manager here, Chan, yoga. Yeah, listen, if it's not, we'll be pleasantly surprised. But the practice is not until 4:30 Central Time, right? So it's 4:30 Central. That's 5:30 Eastern. Given the time of day that it's taking place, that doesn't sound like Bloody Tuesday style practice, just given the time it's taking place, kind of towards the end of that practice. Gary Roach, by the way, how about Christian Miller saying that he loved my energy? I appreciate that from Christian, and Gary, I appreciate that too. People are incredibly nice in here today, so it seems like people enjoyed the show. I'm glad to hear that. Frank Patterson says I was working the room with that mic like Jim Cornette backstage at WrestleMania. Listen, I'll take that as a huge compliment. To be compared to the mouth of the Louisville Slugger Jim Cornette, you better believe I love that. So that's good stuff. Yeah, so a lot of good comments in here. Frank Patterson also asking about Beck or the injured running backs. So, no, I did not see, and we'll get Cody on this too because he saw him getting out the plane. Have not seen Carson Beck. I don't believe he's here. Now, that doesn't mean he won't be here in time for the game, but I mean, we haven't seen him on the plane. We did not see him today. I also didn't see Branson or Roderick Robinson.
Branson got off the plane with crutches.
Okay, so Branson got off the plane with crutches, but you didn't see him today, though, right?
Didn't see him today.
Yeah.
Roderick's nameplate out.
Okay, we also did not see Branson or Roderick at practice on Saturday, right? Yeah, so have not seen Carson, have not seen Branson, Roderick. I guess there's a chance that Carson could just be here for the game. And I mentioned this, it's like, the scenes of JT working with Stetson during 21 season, I thought those were really poignant. And we did get a chance to hear from Gunner that he's at least interacted some with Carson Beck. But in the case of Carson right now, I mean, obviously he's dealing with a devastating injury, or at least it's not a devastating. He's devastated about his injury. Let me say it like that. And he's trying to figure out the next steps for him on all of that. So that's a good question, Frank. Did not see either the Robinsons, although Cody did see Branson the other day. Did not see Beck. The presumption I'm making is that Beck's not currently here, but that doesn't mean he won't be here for the game. Taylor Russell asked about Branson being in crutches. I mean, I think the assumption here is that Branson has also had an injury setback, right? I don't know. Has that been officially reported?
But if you watch the airplane video, you can see him coming down
Yeah.
the stairs.
So I think the belief here is that we do know, I mean, it's been officially reported that Roderick has had an injury setback. That's his ankle. I think the assumption is that Branson, unfortunately, has also had an injury setback. And you can go see the video on DawgNation YouTube page, easiest place to find it, of the team getting off. And it's obvious that Branson is in crutches. And I believe that's because he has had an injury setback, although I don't know if that's been officially reported. It's been Christmas, y'all. We're just kind of getting back into some of this, but I believe the sense is that's what that is. All right, so let's see what else. We're gonna have to get ready to go because it's so late. Stephen Venanzi, I hope to see you there too. Obviously, we got big DawgNation invasion events coming up the next couple of days. Going to be on Bourbon Street a little bit. We were over at the casino last night watching the Falcons game, so we're out and about a little bit here at night, although mostly here doing the work that we're here to do. All right, let me see if I can go to Facebook just for a moment, and then we'll try to do more comments. So the next couple of days, including game day, the show's going to be pretty normal. We'll be on the scene, but it won't be media day because everything else the rest of the time, for the most part, just be regular DawgNation Daily, right? So we'll have more regular shows the rest of the week, but wanted to do this one this way just because it's just a great chance to do something we don't get a chance to show you on a regular basis very much. Yeah, so it seems like people really enjoyed this. I'm happy to see that. That's good. Becky Rutledge enjoyed what she heard from KJ Bolden. Yeah. So one of the things sometimes she'll do in an event like this is you'll try to gravitate towards some of the guys you haven't heard from. And KJ's a guy that we talked to going back to his time in high school, but have not talked to him since he's been here at Georgia. So I thought KJ was great. I thought KJ was really strong. Really strong.
Tomorrow they'll have the head coach's press conference right up to.
Okay, yeah. So tomorrow it'll be the coaches' press conference, kind of leading into DawgNation. We're going to stream that live. You think? I think there's a pretty good chance we'll stream that live. So that could have an impact on us a little bit. So look, the next few, what we hope is the next few weeks, there's going to be a lot of just stuff going on, which could impact things a little bit. But it seems like people are kind of enjoying this here right now. Bill Sanders reporting some sad news. Denise Loper, who's a regular commenter, has lost her husband. So thank you for telling us about that, Bill. And we'll certainly pray for Denise and hope everybody who has interacted with her will do that. Incredibly sad news to hear that. Incredibly sad news to hear that. But thank you, Bill, for telling us that. Matthew Goodwin asking about whether or not the whole team can travel. Yeah, everybody can travel. There's no restriction on that. In the old school days, there used to be kind of a thing where it was like an honor to come to the bowl game, like any walk-on, anybody who had ever worn a uniform that season, they were all coming to the bowl game. Honestly, bowl games are just a lot different now where, transfer portals changed that. The nature of the playoff has changed that. So it used to be everybody kind of loved the extra, fringe benefits you got from being around the bowl game. College football's changed a good bit, but Georgia could bring anybody that wanted to as far as who actually is here. I mean, obviously, almost everyone is here, other than the couple of injuries we mentioned a moment ago. But it's not quite the way it used to be in terms of, hey, you come in for a week's worth of fanfare. This team has arrived much later than they normally would just because there may be other trips on the way. So we'll take more of your comments later on throughout the week. Appreciate you being here. Also, thanks to R.S. Andrews to make this possible there as well. Find them online, rsandrews.com, for your air conditioning, heating, plumbing, electric needs, showing up on time, doing the work that's promised, the price that's promised. You can trust them on all of that, including it's about to be really cold. I'm talking about shockingly cold coming up. So go ahead and get that heating system tuned up. Be ready for that. Check out rsandrews.com for more on that. Thank you for being here for DawgNation Daily, presented by Pella Window and Door of Georgia today. Really, really appreciate that. We will look forward to seeing you back here again tomorrow.